We are fucking live. Welcome to this week's edition of the Whitfield Report. I'm your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting live from NGC Studios here in South Florida. And we've got a jam-packed show for you here tonight, folks. And the title may be confusing for some of you, but we'll clear that up in just a sec. Meantime, contact info as usual. As you can see if you're watching by the lower third, here's all my contact info. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at SamDW_NGC, hashtag Whitfield Report. You can also follow me on Instagram at SamDW_NGC. Follow me on Gab at Sam Whitfield, although I don't even know if Gab is still around because I think they got DDoSed or whatever that term is. Facebook.com/Whitfield Report. TheSamWhitfield.com is my website. As always, please subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you get your audio podcast from. As always, that's posted the day after the live show. And that's where we get our sponsorships and whatnot from. So thank you for supporting the podcast and telling a friend. And as always, you can also tune into the live chat too on YouTube if you care to, and subscribe over there and participate in the mayhem over there. And looks like the ringleader Brian is already in the chat, so welcome as always, Brian. Okay, so tonight's show is going to, the title may confuse the fuck out of some of you people because I titled it The Return of Jeff Hamill, and some of you are probably like, who the fuck is Jeff Hamill? So, about 3 years ago, before I rebranded the podcast, I was part of a podcast network called Junior Factor Nation. This was 6 years ago, actually, now I think about it, because I was still in high school. And back when the show was called The Whitfield Analysis, or as some people called it, The Whitfield Analysis, which is why I ended up changing the show later on, I was part of a network of quote-unquote young conservative podcasters. And Jeff was one of the hosts of the... Yeah, he had his own show on the network, and then we eventually all burned...
The Jeff and Alan Show. The Jeff and Alan Show. Never forget.
Never forget. I might as well bring you on the screen now. So, anyway...
What's up, everybody?
Yep, so, we, long story short, we had a falling out, and, not Jeff and I, but the original network, so, then Jeff and I and a couple other people from JFN... started our own thing, and it actually went pretty well for a while. And then things, we had a couple of disagreements with, it basically fell apart, kind of on its own. Just because I think we were trying to monetize it, but back in 2014. YouTube wasn't really monetizable yet. You couldn't monetize podcasts yet either, and so it just kind of fell apart. So
we had one sponsor. I remember that they were a battery company, but I have no idea what they were called.
It was I think it was Octopod.
Octopod. Oh my god.
Which I think they went out of business because I still have mine. Not that I
got one. I never got one.
Yeah, they ended up sending me a free one. They were originally supposed to send all the board members free ones since they were our sponsors, and then about a month after we pretty much disbanded, they finally sent me mine. So, and then
at least you got one.
Well. And then I think they went out of business I think they went out of business, too. So, anyway, and then Jeff co-hosted the Whitfield Analysis for a while, and then he just got super busy with stuff at his school. He works for, can I say, or he works for the awesome Penn State. So, you've even got your YouTube channel up.
I was waiting. I was going to wait until you mentioned it. But yes, okay. I actually wrote it twice in 2 different sizes, and neither of them are actually readable, so...
He runs the YouTube channel for the sociology class, which is YouTube/Soc119. So,
that's it.
And, I mean, how many subscribers? You guys have a fuck ton of subscribers.
Yeah, we actually got, like, for some reason this past semester we've blown up. We're at 19.5 thousand. So we're hoping to get 20,000 pretty close to the beginning of classes starting. But I mean, it's whatever. I mean, we started this semester with 4,000, and that was over the summer, which picked up 2,000 in like August, and we only have class in August, so that was kind of weird. And I remember it was a year ago today, we had 420 subscribers. Not like today, but like a year ago from was 420 because I sent a message to my boss and he was like, hey, 420.
Meanwhile, I'm still struggling to get past the 100 barrier because fucking... I swear it's not just because... I mean, people always say that, like, anyone who's conservative, they say, oh, YouTube blacklists my channel, and I'm like, bitch, I'm not really sure if that's the case, because, like, I've been on here since before all that shit started happening, and I still can't get past 100.
Yeah, it's just, like, completely random. I don't know how we were able to pick up those subscribers, but, I mean, the time will come.
The thing it is, YouTube is just kind of a shitty platform for everyone just in general. And
there's so much content. There's, I think, like 400 hours of content uploaded every minute or something like that. Like, it's insane how many people have YouTube channels.
Yeah, and I mean, I always laugh with the people who are like, oh, well, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel to make money, and I'm like, that bitch, you have you have no idea how many fucking subscribers you need to like even begin to like make like pennies on.
Dude.
So,
and it's funny because our channel is like monetized. Our YouTube channel is monetized, and we only put the money towards like we got hacked by a Cialis ad. So if you went to social19.org, it would take you to Big Pharma's website. Literally, the website was big-pharma.com or something like that. And it took you to a Cialis ad. So all of our money is literally just going back to, like, keeping the website, like, malware free. And so it's funny because people are like, oh, I watched an ad before watching your video, and if you truly want free education, you should take those off. Like, it's free. It's still free for you. You just have to watch a 15-second ad.
Right.
And most of them you can click out of them, so it's 6 seconds. And we're able to literally keep our website Cialis free.
So I've started to monetize the podcast. Now I've been podcasting for 10 years at this point.
Long time, dude.
So yeah, and so Anchor, the platform that I'm now on for podcasting, it's really good and the community is really supportive. But there are all these newbies who are just like now getting into podcasting, which is awesome. But they're also like, why am I only getting 1 cent per play out? First of all, they don't understand that up until this year, it was almost impossible to fucking monetize a podcast. Now it's easier than YouTube to monetize podcasts, but I digress. Anyway, I love whether it's YouTube or podcasting or whatever. I love all these people who, and I don't want to necessarily say they're just millennials because, but these people just in general who kind of think that just because they've started a YouTube channel, they're going to blow up after a few videos and make a ton of money. And it's
so difficult. You make, for every 1,000 views you get, I think you make 0.25%.
See with 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 podcasting, I get like 25%. I get like 25 cents per listen per episode, so that's actually not bad.
Wow, that's actually that's a huge, like compared to like the YouTube titans that are out there.
Right.
That CPU or CPM, I think it is crazy.
Yeah, and then I think like every 1,000 downloads total off of my feed, I get like $15, which is, plus I've got some Patreon supporters, which I'm always thankful for. But the point being is all the people who think that you get rich off of making content online, yeah, you can after you've been at it for a while, but yeah, forever, as
I was mouthing.
But yeah, right now, people are "Oh man, you're making bank," and I'm actually, I'm just covering the yearly WordPress, it's basically all the money I'm making at this point is basically going back into the show, so to cover expenses. But that's how business just goes, kind of in general, no matter what you do. So anyway, Jeff, I will kind of hand the show over to you. What you had some topics on your mind that you wanted to?
Did I?
Or
it was
no,
just
or let's just shoot the shit. What's been going on in your world? So.
Oh God. So just to give you guys, the viewer, an idea, Sam and I, we talk every couple of weeks, maybe, on Facebook, and especially most recently, we've been kind of messaging, especially during the election. It was me, him, and Eric. Shout out to you, Eric. The three of us kind of just shoot the shit on Facebook, but it is fun. It's really fun. But besides that, I haven't really talked to Sam in a long time. So, I mean, nothing's really too dramatically different. Instead of in Amish country, I'm currently in Harrisburg. So that's different.
Jeff's also a kind of former conservative. I wouldn't say you've gone full social justice, thank God. So.
Oh, hell no. I can't do that.
I do want to bring that up because you and I are both kind of libertarians. It seems like both sides now are just getting and this is basically what my show has turned into, just where I rant about the ridiculous of how both sides just seem to, no matter what, get offended about fucking everything. So I think it is more predominant on the left, at least from what I've seen, but it does happen on the right. I will say that too on the far right. So a few years ago with the whole being with Baker.
Hold on, can I tell you, take a guess on who I voted for?
Please don't say Hillary. I know you didn't vote for Trump.
I did not vote for Trump. I actually had no idea who I was going to vote for, literally until I put my pencil or pen or whatever it was right into the paper. I did vote for Hillary. However,
what?
Here's the reason. I knew she wasn't going to win. I could not vote for Trump, but not because of Trump. I did not vote for Trump because of Trump. I didn't vote for Trump because of Pence. I really, really, really hate the idea of an uber Christian in the White House. And Trump is such a charismatic, crazy president. And I hope nothing bad ever happens to the president. But if something would, this would be the president that it might happen to. So my thought process was, if the worst case scenario happens and Trump gets assassinated, again, for the record, don't want that to happen, I do not want Pence in office. So I was like, you know what? State College has already been won for Hillary. I'm just going to throw it. And I couldn't vote for Gary Johnson, who would be the most likely candidate for me was when he... But I wasn't running for president.
Right.
You have to know foreign policy, even if you're, Ron Paul isolationist level. Like, you still have to know what's going on. So I did vote for Hillary. However, it wasn't really a vote for Hillary. It was really just a vote against Pence. If who's that dude from Ohio? John Kasich. If John Kasich was the VP, I would 100% would have voted for Trump. Absolutely.
So it's interesting that you say that because I don't dislike Pence, but I'm kind of like, well, he and Trump are kind of like a weird choice because
it was a real weird choice. I was totally surprised when he was like, Mike Pence is who I want. I was like, okay, I understand you're going for the super conservative vote here, but Pence and Trump?
And see that
doesn't make any sense.
That's the only reason why I think Pence is in there, because like Trump. Well, I mean, you're from the East Coast, so you know sort of like Trump was like banging cocktail waitresses and like doing blow and all of this crazy shit during the 80s,
Yeah.
and so I'm like when he did that, I'm like here's a guy who bangs like supermodels all day, or who has like in his prime, and then here's like the electroshock
Therapy guy, yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a weird thing. Well, that's also why I always like to tell I always like to troll Antifa pages, because they're always like, we're gonna fucking kill, and I'm like, you realize if Trump dies, you get Pence.
You're the first people that are going to be like thought of that killed him,
and
you're the first suspect.
And I'm also like, I'm like, if Trump died, you get Pence, and they're like, oh shit, we hadn't thought of that. So I'm like,
exactly. That's the whole reason why I didn't vote for him.
So
the whole
the reason why I hate Hillary so much is just because, as Joe Rogan put it, I don't know that she's killed people, but I know that I'm afraid she's killed people, and between her and her pedophile husband, who
not pedophile, I would say just an adulterer.
Well,
I mean, you can't say much when Trump is the same exact way. He's had how many wives, and he's cheated on how many of them? All of them.
Well, but yeah, I mean, there's a whole weird thing with Jeffrey Epstein and Pizzagate and what.
Pizzagate was debunked. It was like, do you want? I'm not going to say anything to Pizzagate because maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. But from the stuff I have seen and heard, mostly actually from Joe Rogan, I heard him really talk about it a lot. It was like there were weird. It was weird, regardless of if it happened or not. It was really effing weird. But it's a huge stretch. And by the way, to Jolly Roger's comment, I mean, he might not be the militarized Christian that everyone makes him out to be, but he would 100% would go after Roe v. Wade, and he would then go after same-sex marriage. And I mean, I'm not the biggest supporter of abortion, but we can't take people's freedoms away, and I'm very much gay, and I have the potential to get married, and someone would take that away from me. Like that's it's so funny to me how like both Christians, both Republicans and Democrats seem to say, "Oh, we want freedom," and then they do things to take away your freedom.
Right.
That's why I think like I have changed since being a conservative, because I'm not kissing Matt Drudge's ass anymore and saying, "Oh yeah, whatever you post is totally the truth." I'm doing my own research and looking into both. I hate both sides now.
Yeah. Well, I just hate the press in general. This whole thing of this whole thing of the CNN is fake news. Like, people are so enraged that Trump is tweeting that. I was saying that on my podcast back in 2008 that I hate CNN, and I mean even Fox too. It's not even just like personalities. It's just that like it's no longer news anymore. It's like 5 minutes of commentary followed by like 45 to 50 minutes of endless Cialis commercials and ads and just like I mean
That's why I never pay attention to the media at large. I just go right to who. Whenever I see an article from somebody, the first thing I do is go find who their source is, and then I read what the source said. So a lot of times I'm on AP News because AP seems to just, these are the facts that we know right now. And it's funny because a lot of places would be like last night it was something about the Texas judge who said that Obamacare is unconstitutional, which I mostly agree with, by the way. The AP News article popped up on my phone, and I went to click on it, and it said it's a developing story. Come back later. And if you go to CNN, Fox, MSNBC, Al Jazeera, any of the major news organizations, they'd all be like, "Here are our opinions of what this judge said." I don't care what your opinion is. I want to know the facts. I don't pay attention to Fox. I'll have CNN on in the background, which means it's muted, and it's just something that every once in a while I can look up and see a headline, and then I'll be like, all right, that's all I want. I don't want your opinions. I don't give a F about what you think.
You can say fuck on here.
I know I can. It's just I'm trying my hardest not to, especially with Zealed rum in my
nice,
cup.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know.
8-year Bacardi. I don't know what it is.
Oh, even not. Well, yeah. I haven't done a drunk podcast since the whole Kavanaugh here. Here I am.
Oh, we should totally do one. You, me, Eric, and Matt Dallas. We should all do a drunk episode together.
Matt actually called me on Thursday when I was at my graduation ceremony, but I haven't.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. I haven't returned his call yet, so I'm gonna have to do that after the show. But yeah, man, it's. I mean, so here's how I look at it. So I'm curious to also know. I assume you heard about this whole thing of Alex Jones being like completely deplatformed and
yeah, Facebook, Twitter, everything.
As you know, I haven't always been the biggest fan of Alex Jones because one of his listeners, you might remember this, Jeff, but for those of you who don't know, one of Alex Jones's listeners, like way back when, just because I like mildly disagreed with one of Alex Jones's things on like 9/11 Truth, one of his crazed followers like started messaging me. This was like back in like 2013, I think, around the time when we met. They actually ended up like writing a whole profile on me about how, because I was part of the Boy Scouts, the Boy Scouts are part of the Illuminati, and how the Boy Scouts are trained to be CIA assassins and like military. And I'm like trolling this guy like, yeah, I wish I had my merit badge and sniper rifle here, which I don't. But basically, like, if the Boy Scouts trained me to be like an assassin, that would actually be cool. But no, I just got. But my point being is, like, you know, I mean, I definitely do think that, can Alex Jones be a little crazy sometimes? Yes. Can he be true sometimes too? Yes.
The clock is broken clock is always correct. Twice a day? And that's a phrase. I mean, Alex Jones literally told a judge that his show is BS because he was fighting for the right to have his kids, and his ex-wife was like, "Judge, look at his show," and he was like, "Oh, it's totally not real." And then he goes on the show the next day, and he's like, "Everything, bone broth. Buy my bone broth." Like that. Can I respond to a couple comments on the YouTube channel?
Sure, yeah. I passively read. See, this is why I miss having you as like my co-host too, because like I'm over here ranting for 5 minutes, and see that's why I need a co-host to
Dude, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do Sam's show. I'm gonna do it right this time. I used to only have one MacBook, and the last 2 years, my job has had me be in front of a PC with 2 monitors. I cannot use a computer without having a second monitor now. It's so spoiled me. So I literally have a computer to my right that I'm looking at the comments. freedom to kill a baby in terms of abortion, it's not my right to decide what somebody else can do with their body. And somebody said, I don't have the right to do whatever with my body, but a woman does. I mean, you do have the right to do what you want with your body. If you want to not have children anymore, you can get a surgery to not have children. It's as easy as that. Women can do the same thing if their tubes tied. But I mean, in terms of like the freedom to decide if you want to have a baby or not, men have chosen to not have babies forever. They just leave. And then there's no reason, there's no legal thing that somebody can go and say you must support this child, especially if they get, I don't know, a divorce.
Well,
you can pay alimony. You have to pay alimony and child support and things like that, but not if you just get out and run and no one finds you again. There's always like, the thing is, I don't agree with abortion personally.
Right.
But as a man, I have no right. As a gay man, you can't have a child, period, without like thinking about it for 6 years. Like, I very much think that a woman does have the right to decide, and I can't stand in her way and say, you can't do this because my religious freedom says, or my religious beliefs say that you can't. Fuck your religious beliefs.
This is kind of where I disagree with you though, Jeff. I mean, I definitely think that if you're the father, you should have the right to, like, I knew a guy back in high school whose girlfriend, they got pregnant, and then she broke up with him, and then she's like, oh, by the way, I'm pregnant with your kid. Now, this guy who could have been a dad would have raised the kid on his own, with the help of his parents. I'm pretty sure that he would have. So I think that when it comes to like I don't think it should just be like the woman's kid. I think the dad should have some say in it. I think if men throughout history have always like stood by their women, or at least accepted what is possible when you have a child, I think totally we'd be on even ground, and the man and the woman should sit down together and decide together. But throughout history, that's not how it's worked. If men don't want a child, it is get up and leave. And not good men do that. And that doesn't mean that bad women will get abortions. It's so like situational that I can't decide upon it besides looking at any situation. If a woman just came up to me and she said I got an abortion because I wanted to because I'm not ready for a child, I'm like, okay, I don't care. I think the whole clusterfuck. My whole thing is I don't think Roe v. Wade should ever become a law in the first place, and that's not because I'm pro-choice. I mean, I am, but that's not the reason why I'm wholly opposed. I just think that the moment the government stepped in was when we started getting this whole problem. I think I'm pro.
It should have been state to state.
Right. I think the whole thing is it's more like, and this is where my background in campus ministry comes in, because I was an intern for these last 2 semesters for my campus ministry, and we've talked a lot about this. Legalizing morality is not something that's going to work. Like, this is something that churches or synagogues or mosques or atheists,
everything.
Wherever atheists congregate, like at the local 7-Eleven or coffee shop or bar, like these statutes of morality are not something that can be legislated. These need to be something that we ask as a society. So
that's true. And then the other comment I wanted to respond to, Jolly Roger said the only reason marriage was a legal issue in the first place was because of taxes, which was instituted to encourage the population to increase. We don't need it now. Totally agreed. We don't need a ruling on marriage equality. It should just, any 2 people who want to get together should get together. That should be the end of it. However, there still are legal reasons besides just taxes. If, let's say, you're in the hospital, Sam, let's say, hypothetical, we're gay lovers and we get married, and you get really sick. you get really sick and you want to go to the hospital, I can't see you unless if I'm your family, which that's what marriage equality, for the most part, did. Thanks, homie. I got more liquor.
Nice.
Thank Dimitri. He came down the whole way from upstairs cooking.
I know.
You're baking cookies still?
Still, man. It's like I'm overwhelmed.
He's overwhelmed of the cookie production in the Hamill kitchen right now.
The thing is, the cookie turnover was way too high.
We have too many cookies in the house, so if you want any, become a Patreon of Sam, and we will send you 0 cookies. But just pretend we did.
Well, are they pot cookies or pot?
He asked if they're pot cookies or not. He said, unfortunately not. If we ever do a show in Denver, however, at Sam's dad's house, we will definitely make edibles.
Dude, we totally should.
We totally should. Eric, I know you work for the government, but come on, dude.
Well, he's in Portland, Oregon, which, by the way, I'm surprised Portland hasn't burned to the ground yet because, well, it's
psilocybin.
It's Portland, so.
Well, I mean, PDX.
Yeah, but between all the anarchos and the weirdos out there, so
Yeah, for sure.
So,
by the way, I poured way too much liquor into this cup, so the next half of the show should be fantastic.
Oh, it's always fantastic. Go back and either watch or you can listen to my Kavanaugh podcast because
dude, we should do whenever big things happen, we should just watch a major political event and just drink because that's the only thing we can actually. And unless if you're in a pot legal state, you can get high, but Pennsylvania, I need to have fucking cancer to have it here.
So what I wanted to do for the 2016 election, and again this is why YouTube is fucking stupid because apparently they'll ban you if you're streaming someone's live stream. So
what we do is we have this would be me producing this show. We would just have the video footage but muted.
Oh yeah, and then. Well, because
there's no copyright sounds, so then YouTube's algorithm won't catch it.
Oh, okay. Because what I did in the 2014 midterms, that I think you were there, is I had it, and then Matt Dallas and I called it like a football. We called it like a football game almost. That's the funnest way to do it is to do these things like a play-by-play football type thing.
Exactly.
So, Eric, what? By the way, subscribe to my channel. I need to make it past 100 so I can actually name this fucking channel.
Just Google. Here's how I found it. I went to YouTube.com, went to the search bar, and looked up Sam Whitfield, and it's under the Whitfield Report, and you can find it super easily. I tweeted it out, so if anybody is from Social 19, let me know if you're watching.
Please, I'm like Joe Rogan / Anthony Cumia. I don't know. Well, you're from Pennsylvania, so you might know who Opie and Anthony are.
Oh, dude, I listened to Painkiller already. They have Anthony on every 2 months. I'm very much aware of O&A and After the Blowout because Cumia had a gun in New York and this black prostitute was yelling at him. I know the whole story. I love those. I love Cumia. I don't know anything about Opie.
Well, no, Cumia now has his own network.
I know.
So
I know.
I subscribed to it. So I subscribed to it for about a year when he was on there, and Gavin McInnes, who I'm curious to know your thoughts on Gavin, the godfather of hipsterdom.
What is his name? Gavin what?
Gavin McInnes or McInnes, I guess.
McInnes.
He's the guy.
Right.
He's the guy who started. He's the guy who started the Proud Boys. He started the Proud Boys.
I recognize him from the Gavin show or whatever he has on.
Yes.
Opie's or Anthony's network.
Yeah. Well, and then he went to CRTV, which just got bought.
Oh yeah.
which just got bought out by Glenn Beck's company, and I guess Gavin got canned or.
Wait, the Blaze and CRT? How the heck did Levin let that happen?
So I guess that like Beck and Levin kind of used to like secretly hate each other, but then they actually talked, and like now they actually like each other for some reason. So they merged. Gavin got canned, and I'm now hearing rumors that Crowder actually might get canned, which if but Jeff, you're the one who introduced me. Well, okay.
Yeah, because that was before he was a complete sociopath, dude.
Well, you want to talk about sociopaths? Do you know about this comedian named Owen Benjamin?
I don't know him.
Oh my. Okay, so this is how my audience, like, Brian, you think Crowder's a sociopath?
I just Google searched him. If you Google search Owen Benjamin, the first picture that pops up, his eyes are approximately 3/4 of his face. So I kind of see how he's kind of a lunatic here.
Well, okay, so he's basically started. So he basically has this whole thing called the Unbearables, which is how Brian, Jolly, Gabe, and basically the core of my audience now, how we all met. And when we were in there, it was kind of a fun group. But then Owen started doing things which I don't really want to disclose what they are publicly, but they were pretty bad. Well, I mean, he was openly saying stuff like he was saying stuff like free speech for all, but then banning users whenever they would disagree with him from the chat. And he would also say something like, "I'm not racist," but then shout "nigger" 15 times.
Here's the thing: whenever somebody says anything and then they use the word "but," get rid of everything they said prior to the word "but," and that's their true statement. That's how you literally do it in logic. If you say the word "and," though, it actually connects the two things together. I'm not racist, and I hate black people. That would be how he should have said it.
I'm not racist, and I'm not racist, but I have a black opener, so I can say
anything that you want. Listen. I will give. So, Social 19, for those of you who don't know, is a race and ethnic relations class. I talk about race every single day at work. So I talk to people from the Middle East to talk about their culture and how they're discriminated against in the United States. And like, if you have to think, should I be able to say the N-word here? Don't say it. Just don't say it. There should be no reason. And I know you just said it, and I really couldn't care less because you have the freedom to say it. Well, I personally never say it.
I said it contextually too.
Exactly. But if you're ever in a situation, do you know how every racist joke starts?
3 whatevers walk into a.
No, here it is. Ready? Hey guys, have a joke for you. Okay, now I can say it. Every single racist joke, make sure that like whoever you're talking about isn't in the room. You have to make sure, because then it would be like really not cool. And of course it's not going to be cool. But like people do it all the time anyway. But that's how every racist joke starts.
See though, that's funny though, because I have black friends, and we make like racist jokes at each other, like all the.
But that's different because you have a relationship with that person.
Oh yeah, like I'm not gonna go up on the street because I'm not. I'm not.
Just imagine you rolling up to a street corner, getting a little ramp for yourself, and just screaming the N-word.
Yeah, I'm not OB, so. Yeah, Brian, I know you like racist jokes. I also know that...
Hashtag me too. Oh my god. The social justice quarter of my heart is just crying right now.
I will find a exorcist the social justice demons out of you. So, and you will be, and you'll just be a plain old. Well, you kind of are a libertarian, like.
No, I have always been a libertarian. It's just like, I think towards the end of Obama's presidency, I was like, okay, so I didn't love him, but he wasn't like Hitler. He wasn't awful.
No.
And then I looked at like all of the hate mongering that went prior, and this is really where I changed. Like, I think I'm a true libertarian, not total isolationist. Like, I'm a realist too. I'm a realist, and the thing is, as soon as I looked at like back to what I said and what like my like people around me, my social circle said about Obama, oh, he's not even American. He's from Kenya. And I was just thinking, like, how racist did we sound?
Well,
because he's not white, he has to be from Kenya because I disagree with his politics. Like, no, and that's why, like, after I looked at how we've treated Obama prior to his presidency to, like, what president he became, which if I would say he was easily top 25%. Some people would be like, he was the best president ever, and I don't know that, but I also don't know who the best president was. George Washington, he didn't even run. He was just because he was a Revolutionary War patriot, which, by the way, to the British, he was a treason. Like, he committed treason, he's a treasoner. So, like, it's all about your perspective.
Yeah.
And I thought Obama, he wasn't the worst. He wasn't the best. He was somewhere in the middle with 90% of our presidents. And that's when that's when I started, like, questioning both sides. Because I was like, okay, so Obama's not totally awful. So what did I listen to? The Republicans that said that. And then Trump is the spawn of Satan to the Democrats. I'm like, well, why is that? And I looked at the reason why that was. And neither of them make total sense to me. So it has to be something in the middle. Which to me is moderate, or to me is libertarian, because you want government intervention when absolute necessary. But besides that, get the hell out of my life. You can't tell me what Jordan Peterson, I've been watching a lot of him and Ben Shapiro a lot on YouTube because I'm trying to get like the opposite side of what everyone tells me that I believe. Because
you like Kermit the Frog then. You like
Exactly. But the one thing that they always talk about, especially Ben, I heard Ben say this multiple times, he's like, you can't tell me to call a trans person by their preferred pronouns, but if I'm at dinner with them or I'm talking to them, I will call them their preferred pronouns because I'm not an asshole. That's where it comes down to. Don't be an asshole.
Okay, folks, and by the way, my wife is a doctor. I can't get my voice high enough to do Shapiro, so that was my best.
To respond to Eric's comment, James Buchanan, which is rated the worst president, by the way, is from where, Sam Whitfield? And I wouldn't be asking you if I didn't know for sure.
Pennsylvania?
Not only from Pennsylvania, he's from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, my hometown.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
What the hell is it called? It's called like the Wheatfield, which is funny for Whitfield. It's called the Wheatfield House, and it's literally like, I can tell you, it's on Marietta Avenue. It's in Lancaster. That's where he was that's where he lived after. By the way, first possibly gay president was James Buchanan.
Well, that's I bet that a few of them were probably gay, more than.
Oh, I mean,
Obama.
Sam Whitfield. Sam, can you tell me 100% that you are 100% straight?
Yeah.
You've never looked at a man and been like, damn.
Much to Brian's chagrin, I am 100% gay. I mean, 100% straight. Sorry.
Yeah, whichever you decide. I mean, here's the thing. I can't say I would never marry a woman, and I'm out. Like, I'm fairly comfortable with my sexuality. If a woman would come up to me and she was the one, I wouldn't be like, no, because I like men. I would be like, maybe this is the one. I don't think anybody's 100% anything. My own boyfriend would say the same thing. He'd be like, yeah, I'm not totally gay. I have a little bit of me that's straight, and I think every person has a little bit of them that's gay or that's straight, depending on where you are in the spectrum.
I think that a lot of it has to do. I don't buy this notion that people are either born gay or born straight. I think environment has a lot to do with it. So,
I would say instead of environment, I would say your personal encounters have a lot, especially in your developmental years, have a ton to do. And then Brian said that he'd fuck you, so that's fun.
Yeah, Brian says that every day.
People accept me having clipped when you said I'm 100% gay.
Oh boy, looks like I'm getting visited by Mike Pence. Looks like I'm gonna have to go on Daddy Mike's electroshock
Conversion therapy camp.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I don't know if you remember when we did this at the old NGC network, but I remember one time we had a podcast where we were like all of us. It's probably not up there anymore. I think it got taken down like soon after. But we did a live stream where like all of us went into watch together and watched that like one like Jesus camp and did like a
watch Jesus camp together. Yo, real quick, I have to pee because this liquor is going right through me. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll keep these savages and
talk about Jesus Camp. That's one. If you've never watched it, it might not be on Netflix anymore. Jesus Camp, hell of a show.
Yeah, Jesus Camp. For those of you who are not aware, is it's like an old documentary from like 2004 about like this radical like pray the gay away Christian camp. In other words, it's where Owen's dad should have been sent, probably. So or blowing as we're calling him now. So oh, and Jolly, I love tasers. All tase drug dealers all day in Florida. So the movie is called Jesus Camp. Brian. No, it's not rapping for Jesus. I'm going on IMDb actually. So okay, yeah,
I'm back.
Joy says I was at a correctional Christian youth ranch.
Who did?
Joy said I was at a correctional Christian youth ranch.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so that's doubly interesting then. So, but yep. So, but yeah.
It was unpleasant.
Yeah, I bet.
My favorite thing about people who run ex-gay conversion camps is the fact that like 2 years after it shut down, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm also with a man." It's like, no shit. No shit. Of course, literally everyone from the gay community who was looking at you was like, as soon as it shuts down, he's coming back out, and of course, it always happens. It always happens.
Yeah, I think that happened to I think that's what happened to Milo. But by the way, Milo is a really that whole story got weird fast. So
the thing no, I'm not going to say that. The thing in terms of the culture, he wasn't totally wrong, but like no, gay people don't support pedophilia. There has to be limits, and
well, I mean, he's come out since then and said that was like that was a bit. I mean, he did own up and say that was a mistake.
But it also happened to him.
Yeah,
he's talked about it on numerous podcasts. I'm surprised it finally got picked up because I heard it about 6 months prior to when the whole thing exploded.
I know
that was his life, and that was what he did, and that's how he figured out who he was. And was that correct?
Well,
absolutely not.
Well, and the whole ironic thing too was it was the religious Christian right that was the one that I shouldn't make this pun, but I'm going to make it anyway. Crucified him over that. So, but yeah, then he went and did this whole like subscription podcast website, which I admit I subscribed to, and then he never did anything on it. So
did you also send money to his white privilege?
No, although he does make he also, people don't want to hear this, but he does make a valid point with this, because it almost seems as if all of the scholarship programs, because I've looked into them, are all geared towards minorities of some sort. So
Did you know that what the hell is it called? Affirmative action. More affirmative action goes towards white women than any other group in the United States.
Well, I'm not really surprised. So
same, and it's so funny because everyone's like, "Oh, if I had affirmative action." Okay, listen. If you're white, it's not that your life has always been easy. It's just marginally hasn't been as difficult as if you would be if you were black. And that's not because of anything that we've done or that our parents have done or even our grandparents. It really started with the zoning districts back in like the early 1900s, and how they divided up the communities. That's the major basis, besides the fact that what happened to slaves after they became free, they went back to the plantations and were still behind their owners, former owners, their bosses now. So like there's always been this discrepancy between black and white people, and white people will be like, well, I mean, I don't have privilege. It's because you don't see the privilege you have. If I wasn't who I am, I probably wouldn't have been able to go to the same high school because my parents wouldn't have been able to afford the house that we had, which means that I probably wouldn't have been able to go to the college that I did. And if I didn't go to Penn State, I wouldn't have the life I have right now. Maybe I would be a scientist at this point working on the cure to cancer. Who knows? Every single thing that we do in our lives has a positive and negative consequence to it, and that includes if you're white or black. It's the fact that if you go through your life without the major obstacles of thinking about your race, then you have privilege. It doesn't mean it benefits you financially. It doesn't mean it benefits you socially. It benefits you, well, I guess it would be socially, because I have never had a run-in with a cop in which I was fearful of going to jail. And I have had 3 run-ins with the cops. And I was never like, this is the time I'm going to jail. But if I was black, I might have, because of how black people have been discriminated against by the police. And if you don't believe me, do a very quick Google search. Do a YouTube search. My favorite thing... Sam, here's my favorite thing to watch on YouTube is First Amendment audits.
Yeah.
First Amendment audits, for those of you who don't know, is when a person will express their First Amendment right to go film somewhere that's kind of like not totally cool, like an airport or a post office or something where people feel uncomfortable. And it's like, no, you have no right to tell me to do anything besides what I'm doing right now. You can't talk to me because I'm not committing a crime. I love those videos because, number one, it puts police in their place and it teaches them what the hell their job is. And the fact that they work for us. And then it also shows how if the person is white, the videos are shorter. Why is that? I'm not saying that there's racism in police. I'm just asking the question, what about the person's color has to do with how long the videos are? And it seems to be a fairly good correlation between the more Islamic you look, the more Middle Eastern you look, or the more African you look, the more black you look, or the more Asian you look, the more likely the cops are going to stop you for a longer period of time. And my question is, why?
So the whole thing with cops is interesting. And I don't ever fully agree with anyone on anything mostly, but I do fully agree with Gavin McGinnis when it comes to cops. The problem with cops are not the cops themselves. It's with the upper echelons of the cops. The cops who are in politics, like the police department, the mayor. Like, people want to get mad at officers, and I'm not saying that there aren't corrupt individual cops, okay? For the most part, from what I've and this is actually something where Brian and I are gonna disagree, because Brian hates cops, and he's white. Most cops, I would say, are pretty good themselves. It's the police department, the ones who set the policy, that are fucked up. That
The local governments too.
So
Everyone forgets the local governments during elections, but that's the biggest part that actually matters. And
so instead of saying fuck the police, I always like to say fuck the police's bosses. So
yep. Here's America is not a Christian nation. No country in the world has a specific religious affiliation except except for the US dollar. It doesn't matter what the beliefs are. Islam is extremely against violence. Like 9/11 was conducted by Muslims. Yes, of course, because they were ideologues who were extremists on their own perversions of the Quran. But if you look at the actual text, it's pretty peaceful. So, like, the hell. So, but they still follow. But like, sorry, I was drunk. What I was trying to say is like, it is a huge sin to kill somebody. However, the prince of Saudi Arabia killed that journalist without a second thought. He didn't kill them, but he hired somebody, or he had somebody. He's a mobster at this point, but he did it not because of religion, because of money. And the bottom line of it was money. Everything we do is money based. Money based. And then I want to say something to the chat. Always some fortunate son preaching about privilege by Gabe. Of course. Because if I was black, most people wouldn't think of a second thing that I would think about. If I could be like, yo, somebody of color come and say that, it would have much less of an impact because of our society. I'm not saying that you personally, Gabe, or Jolly, Roger, or whoever would think, oh, if Jeff was black, I wouldn't listen to him anymore. You might, but our society wouldn't. Our society at large, the larger percentage, more white people get arrested or shot by cops than black people, of course, because we make up majority. The question isn't who is shot more. The question is by percentage who is shot more. If we are 50% of the population and we are 50% of the people who go to jail and get shot, that makes sense.
Yeah, but then
black people are like what? Let's give a very liberal number and say 25% of the population in the United States, which is very liberal. Then why the hell is their numbers 50 or 60% being arrested? Especially when it comes to drugs, because ever since the 80s we've had a hard-on for no drugs in America. Why is it always the fact that black people are always arrested more? Sam, we were in New York after 9/11.
I was
in New York. Well, I mean, like in terms of the long-term, like stop and frisk. Stop and frisk didn't solve bullshit. All it did was they arrested the people who they thought would have like drugs on them. The drugs were still consumed at the same level in New York City after 9/11. The only major difference was the fact that all of the black people who were selling drugs gave it to all of their white friends. And they were selling it because they weren't looking at the white people because they were able to stop and frisk anybody, but we all know it was a racist law. We all knew they were targeting people based on their physical appearance, which is unconstitutional, by the way. Let's not talk about that because that makes it sound like the Republicans were racist. We can't have that.
I see what you're getting at. No, I've got to praise Rudy though, for if there's one thing I've got to praise Rudy for, and this kind of hurts me as an Italian American and as someone whose distant cousin may have been a mobster like way back when in the 30s or 40s or something, but I've got to say that the RICO statutes in the 80s were what cleaned up New York City from organized crime. Now what we have to worry about in New York City, and this is what no one wants to talk about, is the Bratva, aka the Russian Brotherhood. Those fuckers are scary. If you want to talk about crime,
I don't
So-
think Gabe likes me, by the way. He said now that I'm just telling lie after lie after lie. Really disappointed that you, Sam, would have brought me, this snake, on air with you. Interesting. I'm a snake because I don't follow one belief system or another. Because I admit the fact that there is institutional racism in America, not on the individual, but as a society at large. But I also believe that you can say, as he said, clearly I've never been around the N-word with a hard R, whatever. I have, in fact. I live in a college town. College towns are pretty large with people, especially who are international or of mixed color. So I'm around a lot of people. A lot of people. Every single day. I don't know, you probably have never even heard of Social 19. It's a 750 person class. And it's of a mixed people. A mix of races. Most of them being white, because Penn State's a mostly white institution. It's a PWR.
By the way,
predominantly white institution, which is fine, but it's just like, I have been around these people, and I don't think that most of them are committing crimes. I think they're being caught doing more crimes, although especially if you specifically look at drugs, which is the number one reason cops arrest people, that they break the law because I smelled marijuana in your car. Do you have it? No? Oh, well, I'm going to search you anyway. Most people that get that are black or brown. That's not a thing that I'm saying is my opinion. That's statistical fact.
By the way, I've got to say this: foul ball. We have a foul ball. Okay, so I'll explain what foul balls are. So you just gave me a downvote. So
Aww. I really wish that Brian wasn't so thin-skinned, the fact that you have somebody who may disagree with him and he can't actually listen to my opinion without saying that. I've never been around ghetto N-words because I'm fucking stupid.
No, that's not Brian. I don't think that's Brian. That's
that was my downvote.
I think that was Gabe that downvoted. So which
Sorry, Gabe, not the other guy.
Nah, bro. Brian's kind of the ringleader. So, which by the way, though, I guarantee you, if Owen Benjamin, aka Blonde Benjamin, were on here, he would be flipping out right now if he heard you.
You know what I'm gonna do? If whoever Brian or any other person wants to actually have a conversation, not debate. I'm not trying to prove anyone wrong. I ask questions, and then I give you statistical fact around it.
Well,
if your personal experiences differ from what I'm saying, that's cool, because that was on the individuals that you lived with. That's not society at large. I don't care what one person believes. We can have a conversation about one person believes, but I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals and large numbers unless if I'm talking about all of society.
Well, that's why I love having. This is why I love podcasting just as a format in general, especially long form. Because the one thing that I've really done for the past 2 years, ever since I've relaunched this, is I really try and have people of differing viewpoints. Now, some of them I agree with, some of them I disagree with. I mean, look, I got a bunch of flack because I invited on one of Richard Spencer's fanboys a while back. I don't necessarily agree with what Richard Spencer or I guess any of his ilk preach, but I think
Brian said that I would have gotten robbed in the neighborhood that he's lived in. Maybe. Probably not.
Well,
do you know where what areas of the country he's lived in?
He's in. I mean, Brian, I don't want to dox you, but
state, and I will guess the biggest city, even if it's not correct.
Arizona.
Okay, well then. Maybe.
Brian-
Maybe I would have been. Maybe I would have been. Have I ever been to jail? No. Because I've never done any. Because here's the thing. Here's the reason why not.
Brian,
Because I have.
Brian
Go
is
ahead.
Brian is our resident Joey Diaz, but
Totally understood.
by the way, so he's like a white Joey Diaz. By the way,
Is he also the one that hates cops? I forget which one.
yeah, he hates cops.
Brian and I see you and I would definitely agree on how you should treat cops. I don't hate cops per se. However, I hate the fact that they take away our freedom because they're the police and they can. You need to give me your ID. The fuck I do. Sam, do you need to give your ID if a cop randomly stops you and they don't give you a reason?
No, but believe me, I've gotten harassed by campus. I've gotten harassed by campus security acting like cops. That's the worst.
We're the same age, asshole.
That is the worst thing is when is when campus security gets on your house and they start acting like cops, and then you start questioning them about like different laws and statutes, and they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, you're not,
Exactly.
I'm like, yeah, you're not a cop. When I know more about police procedure than you do, yeah, maybe I should be carrying that fucking badge instead of.
There's so many police that don't know the law. That's the problem. That's the problem. And we allow them to continue working in their jobs.
Well, I'm not even talking official cops. I'm just talking like wannabe, like
Rent a cops, exactly.
Yeah,
fucking Paul Blart's coming over to arrest you. Get out of my face.
the worst thing, and I know you've heard about your rant about this before because I used to do all the time when you were co-hosting, was fucking TSA. Those fuckers could not detect an atom bomb if it went through there.
The TSA have sub-zero terrorist attacks. It's proven. They can't even stop. They don't even care if you bring weed across state lines. I know for a fact because a TSA agent told a podcast that I was listening to. I mean, maybe not every TSA agent's the same way, but they're like, we don't care. The TSA literally, they don't care. They're just getting paid. That's all they're there for.
Except they did confiscate my mom's honey from California because, oh my god, it was raw organic honey that she got in California, and they confiscated it because that was during that absurd period where they confiscated shit over, like, 3 ounces. So, oh my god, it's over 3 ounces. We better confiscate this honey because, God forbid, it might make the plane, like, sticky.
Right. We might slow down a quarter of a notch because of the fact that it's on here. Yo, can I tell you a story about a friend of mine?
Sure.
So he's originally, I'm not going to say his name because he had weed on him, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. He's originally from China, and he's a foreign exchange student who came to the university that I went to, and I became friends with him. He went to North Korea, and I could tell you that story too. But he was telling me about a time that he went to, he was in Germany. And he was flying from Berlin back to DC, and he hid a bunch of weed in like Marlboro cigarettes, like he made spliffs and just stuck it in there or whatever. He was terrified to go onto the plane, so he's going through security. He gets through like the initial stages. He's about to board his flight, and a German police officer comes up to him and he's like, "Hi, we found something in your baggage," and he's like, Shit. Like, I don't want to go to German jail. The cop then pulled out a switchblade. And he was like, it's not mine. It was his friend's. So it was perfect because they were like, this violates German law. You can't take this internationally. You can't take a switchblade onto a plane. And he was like, thank God they didn't find my weed. They found my friend's knife. When he went to North Korea, I'm not kidding you. It is exactly what we think about it. Those people are so indoctrinated. He was like, the streets there are so clean because no one owns a car. They're on mission. I'm pretty sure North Korea is the greenest country in the world because everyone rides bikes or walks around. They went to a park, and at the park there was he was like, the guy was explaining to us, the tour guide, because he's from China, so people in China, since they're not communist, they can go to North Korea without an issue. And so him and his dad went to North Korea with fake IDs because their real IDs had green cards to the United States, and they were like, we don't want to get caught with that. So they go to this park, and the guy was saying, like, this park is the greatest park in the world. He was like, dude, it was literally like the park next to my apartment. It wasn't fancy at all, but that was their big park. There was a family, they were all dressed up in suits and dresses, and they were walking around the park. There were kids that were playing, and there were kids on the swing sets and all this stuff. He had to go to the bathroom. He leaves the bathroom, and he sees two girls that are North Korean, and they're shooting BB guns, right? But there's nothing in the BB guns. But they look like they're having so much fun. He's like, oh my god. They have no idea what a BB gun actually is. They're holding them, but they've never shot a BB gun before. He saw old people doing yoga. When he left the bathroom, he looked, and you could see barely across the field where the people that were doing yoga, all old people. They were standing, waiting for somebody to walk around to start doing their poses. He saw that family that was walking around the park. They were doing endless circles. Because they had to. It was crazy. It's insane. They went to a restaurant towards the end of their tour in which the guy was. They bring it. It's kind of like a old family style restaurant where they bring a bunch of the food out to you. They were and they brought this beer for them to try. They were like, this is a North Korean beer. He said it was so old that the entire label was white. Because it was so old that nobody drank it, because you're not allowed to drink it, that it was faded. It was all faded. He said that it was so old that him and his dad had 2 beers and were hammered to the point where his dad they were sitting next to the tour guide, and the guy was his dad said, "Cheers, son," in English, and did a cheer. He was like, "Oh shit, they're gonna know that we're American." And the guy looks over at him and he goes, "Oh, Mr. Enter Asian name here. Oh, Mr. So-and-so, you speak English." And they both were sweating bullets because they were like, if they realized that we have any connections to the U.S., fucked. And he said, don't worry, we speak English here too in North Korea. The guy, by the way, the tour guide, made $20 every 6 months.
Wow, yeah, that's
insane. When he was telling me his story, I was like, holy shit. This is an insane story. And it was North Korea. It was exactly what we think. There were 0 billboards. There was no advertising of anything. It was literally the utopia that Russia was trying to construct. And everyone there was starving. They had to, the entire time they were on this bus through North Korea, they had to put their window shades down.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've heard of that.
They're not allowed to look outside, and the reason is because they want you to pay attention to the tour guide. It's because they don't want you to see the extreme poverty until they take you to the place that actually has something. It's insane. Communism doesn't work. So whoever says that I'm a socialist or I'm a communist, which people tell me on Social 19's YouTube channel all the time, me and my boss, who's, by the way, also a libertarian, no, we're not. It doesn't work. It doesn't ever work. It's never worked.
No, and it never will work. And by the way, Jesus was not a communist either. That's
he also wasn't white.
No, he
was Middle Eastern.
Well, okay, blame the Catholic Church,
the Italians to that.
Yeah, so
exactly.
Well, once again, sorry, us. Okay, I'm only half Italian, so I'm only half apologizing. So.
I am, according to my family, 0%. Here's the funny thing about my heritage. I'm German, Irish, and Polish, which you can't get any whiter than that, unless if you're Swedish or something. But someone in my family had an affair. That's all I'm saying. Probably Italian, maybe North African, By the way, North Africans and Italians share the same genetic code.
Right?
So
Yeah.
it's really funny whenever I hear somebody who's Italian, they're like, "Fuck black people." Like you're like 80% black.
I'm half a nigga, so
I think you can only say "n," and then you have to stop because you're only half.
I'm a nigga, so
Exactly.
no, no, it's fun. It's funny though. The thing about the funny thing at North Korea. It's not funny. It's sad and
It's pathetic. Exactly, it's pathetic.
I've been watching the show called The Americans, which I got turned on to it by Alfred. It's on. Do you have Amazon Prime?
My dad does, so yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's on Prime.
What's it called? The Americans?
Yeah, it's
Season 6?
yeah, it's got 6 seasons. But it's about it's a really good show. It's about 2 Soviet spies who pose as Americans, as like an American couple with a family during the 1980s. And it flashes back like to the 60s. And anyway, though, it's interesting because it shows how, like, in the beginning, they're total diehard communists trying to infiltrate the U.S. And then slowly but surely, they're both kind of like, you know what? Things aren't so bad here. Like, we have running water, we have, electricity. And they run.
Yo, I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. So they, The Americans is a good show, folks, because it really shows the difference between communism, like actual communism, not made up Owen Benjamin. Everyone who doesn't agree with me is a communist, type thing. But it shows the difference between basically Reagan's America and pre-Gorbachev Russia, which is pretty good. So, anyway, so what's up with you guys in the DZ? I'm surprised that Ultra Mega Nacho hasn't shown up yet in the chat. He's usually in here by now. So, also, I wonder if Kana is showing his face. So, but so yeah. About 98% of our genes are shared with chimpanzees. Oh, Joel, you had to turn this into Joe Rogan by talking about chimps. So, but anyway,
we also share like 98% of our genetic trees, but
anyway, speaking
Ann Arbor Day.
Speaking of TV shows, you're the one who turned me on to Game of Thrones as well. So,
Are you caught up?
Yeah, I've been caught up. So,
dude, how many? Let me ask you this: how many times have you watched the whole way through? How many times have you watched the series?
3 times. I know I'm behind. So
no, I'm 3 times too. I literally I got my boyfriend to start watching it. He stopped around season 5 because he just didn't have the time to continue watching it. I'm like, that's why you make sacrifices. You make sacrifices for Game of Thrones is my number 1 favorite show. Period. Ever.
That's how I feel about Game of Thrones, and then Homeland too is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, no, dude.
What are you watching now?
I'm watching I'm watching The Americans right now. I'm finishing season 2. That's another one that Housen turned me on
yeah?
to. So,
Shout out to Mrs. Housen. We're
yes,
friends on Instagram and we talk fairly frequently.
Official Mrs. Housen. So, yeah. But yeah.
So you're watching The Americans mostly right now?
I'm watching The Americans. I'm watching Homeland. So, well, this semester in school, I was taking an 80s film study class. So I was watching.
Okay.
I was watching a whole bunch of. I watched Die Hard for like the 5th or 6th time.
I think if you look at my Netflix queue, you'd probably throw up because there's like 8 classic movies that have been on my list for 6 to 7 months at this point. Never got around to it.
Hey,
Scarface and hold on, I'm actually going to enter my Netflix queue right now.
I've only. Hey man, I don't blame you. There are a bunch of movies. There are a bunch of classic movies in my Netflix queue there's just a bunch of Netflix stuff in general that I haven't gotten around to just because I haven't had time to get around to this stuff. So.
I just finished watching the 2nd season of Riverdale. It's okay. It's good. I like it.
I can't. So is that like? That's like a dramatized version of Archie, right? Like in a soap opera.
It's really like the first season is a modern day Romeo versus Juliet kind of thing with a murder mystery connection, and then the 2nd season
But
is
it is
totally
based off
murder
the.
mystery.
But it is based off the Archie, like of that really goofy comic book, right?
I think it is, and they keep the same names and
Yeah. So it's like Archie if it's seriously the.
Have you ever watched Narcos?
Oh, dude! Thank you for bringing that up. I watched the first 2 seasons of Narcos, and then I'm like,
That's all you really need to watch.
Well,
the first 2 seasons are about Pablo Escobar. Fantastic.
Well, especially if you're living in Florida, like if you want,
like you are.
if you want to know why Miami became the cocaine capital of America during the 1980s, Narcos, basically. I had to stop after 2 seasons. I'm gonna go in season 3, but do you ever have you watched? Well, with Narcos, I'm like, holy shit! Those first 2 seasons were so intense that I need
Have I watched what?
That I need a break from it. So
Sorry, we're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, what I was saying is I was the first 2 seasons of Narcos were so intense that I'm like, I need a break from this before I go into season 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm told now that I need to go watch Narcos Mexico. So
I've watched, I think, the first episode 4 times, and I've fallen asleep every single time.
Dude, those shows are long too, though.
They're so long. Random question: how far are you from Zephyr Hills? An hour or 2 or something.
Probably 2 hours. I would say.
That's where my grandparents spend the entirety of the winter. Someday I'm going to go to Lake Wales, though. My friend teaches a paramotor class out of Lake Wales. I'm totally going there, and if it's over the winter, I'm going to go to my grandparents, and then I'm going to go to you.
Awesome. I'll text you I'll text you my address.
Hell yeah, dude.
Obviously I don't want to say, even though people can probably find me easily enough if they want to, but but we all know that the NSA knows where we're at.
Oh, I mean the NSA. Dude, my phone. I have a superior phone. I'm sorry, I meant Android. So every time, the only thing I hate about having like a Google affiliated phone is that every time I leave somewhere, it always asks me for my like Yelp review or my technically Google review of that.
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
I hate it.
Well,
I
no,
hate it so much.
Well, no, Facebook just does that like automatically now. Like, if they're like, hey, we noticed that you checked into so and so. Do you want to leave a review? And it's like places I've never been to, too. And it's like...
My favorite's a strip mall, and then whenever they get it wrong, I'm like, yeah, I was definitely at Babies R Us. Of course I was. Never set foot in that fucking store ever.
The weirdest one is I when I was going back to Denver, I had to fly it to go through like Dallas, and I was there for like 1 hour in the airport, and it's like, we would like to know your experience in Dallas. I'm like, the airport was clean. The
the bathrooms are good.
So,
I really, we need to set like a summer plan to go to like Denver, or even if it's not to your dad's house, to like Colorado Springs or so. I have friends in Denver. Like, I just want to go to Denver so damn bad.
Totally. Well, I want to go to Ohio. I know that there's nothing special out there in Ohio. Sorry, man.
The only good thing about Ohio is the fact that they sell their liquor and beer at gas stations. That's the only good thing.
They do that here though too, in Florida.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh no, Pennsylvania is approximately 65 years behind any liquor law. So you have to go to a store that is specifically a beer distributor or a wine and spirits. However, they have currently some gas stations like Sheetz and Wawa and stuff. They're allowed to sell some beer and wine, no liquor.
We have Wawa here. I love,
oh yeah.
I love Wawa. When I hear that they sell food, I'm like, okay.
They sell really supposedly good food. I'm a Sheetz person through and through. I love Sheetz. I love Sheetz so much.
Never heard of Sheetz.
It's so Pennsylvania was actually divided into 3 major districts for gas stations and convenience stores. Sheetz, Wawa, and then something called Turkey Hill. The second biggest distribution center for Turkey Hill, besides Lancaster County, is some town, so like Vail, Colorado or something. You can get Turkey Hill iced tea and ice cream there for some reason. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, what's really weird is when I went back to Colorado I've been back to Colorado like 2 or 3 times now, so it's not as weird as, but like the first time I was, because when I left, Colorado had just legalized marijuana like my senior year, but it wasn't in effect yet. It wasn't going to be in effect until 2014, by which at point I was already living here. So when I went back and I saw these pot shops and like in areas that like, okay, there used to be like a Pier 1 Imports, which is like a...
Yeah, I know Pier 1 Imports is.
Yeah. There's a... Okay, where there used to be a Pier 1 Imports by my old house in Denver, that's now like a marijuana store. So, and just like seeing that, like, oh my god, that used to be a Pier 1 Imports, like, it was like something that you would never ever expect to like get turned into a marijuana dispensary. So
I'm sure you. This is an assumption. I am assuming you're pro cannabis legalization.
I totally am. So, dude, I mean,
I think at this point, if you're not, you don't understand economics, you don't understand the plant, and you don't understand what the hell heroin is. So, I mean, at this point, I think whoever our next president is, if it's Trump again, or if it's someone else, weed will be legal during their administration.
Trump,
guaranteed.
Trump
can't. I was going to say, he can't not say weed is good for the United States, because how many billions of dollars are we going to take into local economies? Like, all of our schools can get better, our roads can get better, everything can get better because we're taxing this plant that people are still buying on the streets. So what, 75% of Americans, if not 80% of Americans, have admitted to smoking weed? Like, make it legal. Tax the shit out of it.
Trump actually said independently, and I say independently because obviously, he's the president. Things have changed a little bit, but I remember when he was candidate Trump, he said that he was like actually okay with marijuana legalization. I mean, he's a businessman, so he understands the economics of this, and he's from New York, so the thing about Trump is Trump himself is a libertarian, pretty much, I think. I mean, the thing that people don't realize is he ran on, like, both parties before, like, way back when. I mean, like, he ran in that, another foul ball, so, who just, now we've got 2 dislikes. Okay, we've got 4 likes and 2 dislikes. Hey, at least
5 likes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it takes a little bit for the broadcasting software to do this.
Josh, what numbers specifically? The cannabis ones, or 62% of Americans support marijuana legalization at most levels, if not all, and 74% of millennials. So, if it doesn't become legal during the baby boomers' lifetime, it'll become legal for sure. Although it's, been legal since all of time until the 1940s when they started going after drugs because of Mexicans. But we won't talk about the reason we call marijuana and not cannabis, which is the English word for the plant, and marijuana is the Spanish word for the plant, plant because of institutional racism against Mexicans in the 1940s. So,
you want to know why there's still such a holdout towards marijuana legalization? In my opinion, at least.
Go for it. What's it?
I know this is going to sound overly simplified, and that's because it is, but big fucking pharma. Big pharma. That's literally all it is. So, and if you guys can hear what I said as I leaned in super close to my microphone, it's big pharma and basically the pharmaceutical giants. This is what that...
And paper.
Yeah. Big paper. Paper too. So all of those times you thought that Dunder Mifflin from The Office was actually like just like a silly, just like a silly paper company where comedy hijinks ensued. Michael Scott was really an evil paper conglomerate, opposed to the legalization of marijuana. No, but literally, I've done research. I've smoked marijuana a couple times, which, oh my god, I know. I
have never.
Yeah, right, Joe. Right, yeah.
Sorry, that just killed when you said, "Oh yeah," this killed me.
I definitely it's
never mind. I'm not gonna say anything.
Oh no! Feel free to go ahead and say whatever. It's bad that we smoke weed, but God forbid someone wants to get addicted to painkillers and ruin their life. That's fucking okay.
My dad had a real bad car accident. This is 15 years ago or something, like a long time ago. He got into a real bad car accident, and he had surgery on his back. And after his surgery, they gave him Oxycontin. He took a week's worth of pills. He had like 2 months worth of a prescription. He took a week, stopped taking it, totally switched to like Advil and ibuprofen, and he had withdrawal symptoms for a week of taking opioids.
Yeah. look, there are certainly times where painkillers and whatnot are appropriate to use, no doubt.
Totally. And especially if we actually start looking at the dosages and the amount of pills the prescription level that we give people, it will be totally different. If we would actually give people smaller versions, especially of non-addictive versions of painkillers, and maybe had their prescription to be 2 weeks rather than 2 months, this wouldn't even be a debate.
Yeah, well, my point being is more people get addicted to pharmaceutical drugs, and then end up switching to the illegal stuff as a result. Like my friend, my friend. So my friend Brandon, shout out to Brandon Foles, who lives in Denver now. He has a friend. When he lived here in Florida, one of his friends' sister was like in a really bad car accident. Also was on painkillers. Got hooked on it. Her insurance stopped covering the painkillers, so she went into heroin and ended up dying. So she was another one of those black, over OD. You want to talk about raise in terms of drug use too. I mean,
because it's so fucking cheap, dude. I've heard one person who has died from cannabis use, and it was because it had fentanyl in it.
Right. Yeah, no.
Fentanyl, people.
So that's another reason why marijuana legalization is good, because if that is one thing where if the government regulates it, at least they'll be able to control, what goes in and make sure that there's not.
Fentanyl is so fucking crazy. You can't even imagine how much fentanyl can go into heroin and that'll kill you. If you're thinking of like, oh, it's 2%, you're thinking it's like 0.5% of your dosage can be fentanyl and you'll still die. It's insane.
Yeah, that's what, I believe that's what killed Keith Moon, the drummer from The Who, was a heroin overdose, so, I'm pretty sure Eric will chime in and either confirm or deny that one for me. So.
Yeah, by the way, shout out to Darnisha. Darnisha has been a student of mine for 2 semesters now, and she's going to go to her 3rd. Hi, Darnisha. Nice for you to join me.
Welcome. Thanks to the Whitfield Report, aka the Anthony Cumia Light. So be prepared. Be prepared for this to be super politically incorrect and super politically uncensored.
That's why you
too.
have me.
So
that's why you have me.
Yeah, but I mean, you and I curse and whatnot too. So.
Yeah, and here's the thing for anybody who's watching who thinks that like, oh, Sam and Jeff are totally disagreeing on anything. You haven't been listening to the show, first of all. Second of all, we're really good friends. Sam and I, we could literally, if he was super pro-life, and I'm not even pro-choice. I'm pro-goddamn abortion at this point. Like, if that's how we stood, Sam and I would still have a civil conversation.
Oh yeah, we totally would.
We would leave the conversation being like, God, that guy's so stupid, but we wouldn't say it.
or I would say something like, God.
Sorry, it's been 3 now, going on to 4 semesters. My apologies, Arnisha.
God, I would say, God, that guy is so stupid, but fuck, I love him. So
that's why we're not official gay lovers.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like I always need to
go 100% gay.
It's more like a bromance, like that type of love. So.
Oh
God, you gay guys. All I have to say is the word love, and you ought not to think, well, I'm not into you, or
right.
or no, I just kid. So, but no, again, this is why I love podcasting and long form if we were on TV, we first off, I don't think they would even allow us to go this long.
Be on like Comedy Central post 10 p.m. We would have to be post 10 p.m.
Well, but then we would also be taking like commercial breaks every 10
minutes.
probably less. So
that's why I hate, like, I love going to college football games. I mean, like,
yeah,
it helps that I'm the second biggest university for college football stadium, but like, I hate watching football on TV because there's like, okay, they just made a first down. We'll be back right after the break. I don't care about the advertising, but that's how they make money, right?
No,
and that's why I always say. By the way, we have 9 likes. That's why I always say,
awesome.
The official religion of every country in the world is the U.S. dollar. That's the only God that we worship. Is the U.S. fucking dollar bill.
Please hit that subscribe button too, if you would be so kind. I'm trying to break 100 tonight, so I can finally name my channel, because YouTube got rid of that stupid. They made like a stupid rule that you have to have like 100 subscribers before you can enter in like a URL. So but. Yeah, Donisha, my podcast is mainly just me ranting together in a room, mostly on my own. So and then I will have guests. So a little bit of background on me. I don't really want to say I'm a political commentator, because I talk way more about just politics now. I'm more of like a social and cultural commentator. Jeff and I used to be on a podcast network together, what seems like a long time ago. So now he and I, we talk whenever we can, and so, dude, you should do I mean, obviously I know you don't have fucking time, but you should do a podcast of your own or something.
Dude, I'm thinking about it so much right now. A friend of mine from Canada, Drew, and I are constantly talking about politics between the two countries that we live in. And the more we talk, the more I want to move to Canada, because Canada seems to be the home of democracy at this point, because, I mean, they've legalized more things. Like, they've allowed people to make their own decisions faster than the United States has. But regardless, I'm thinking about doing a podcast with him. And just so you know, I won't be wearing these headphones with this microphone. I have a nice SM7B waiting for me in my office, but it's not here right now.
Yes.
My dream for podcasting right now would be you, me, Eric, and Drew.
What?
Bullshitting the entire 2-hour podcast, or whatever we would do per month or whatever.
We could totally do that, and we could host it on Anchor and monetize it too.
Totally.
So yeah, I mean, Anchor.
Plus, you're on Spotify, dude. You know how I use Spotify so much. The fact that I just had to look up your name and I found your podcast, I was shocked, and it's amazing, because it's going to make me want to listen to it more, because I use Spotify all the time.
Oh yeah, I was actually going to DM to text you about that. Like, so the nice thing on Anchor is once you upload the audio of like whatever, I'll rip the audio from this stream. The nice thing on Anchor is the way I explain Anchor is it's basically like YouTube for audio podcast now. You just upload the files, you can. Basically gets distributed everywhere now. Like, basically all of the major platforms where people go to listen to podcasts, like, I'm on. Except for SoundCloud, although people don't really go on SoundCloud for podcasts anymore. Which is actually good, because their interface for podcasts has always kind of sucked. So, but yeah, so it's interesting, because Apple Podcasts is still primarily my most downloaded I guess, podcast aggregator where my show gets downloaded the most. But Spotify is catching up. Like, it's now my second place, and I like Spotify, even though I have Apple Music. So, I know. Well, you know me.
I have an Android, so I can't have Apple Music. So the thing about the main debate between those two streaming services is who you have as a phone. If you have Apple Music, totally understand if you have an iPhone, I totally understand why you have Apple Music. Except my one friend always says that like he hates playlists and he just likes to listen to the music he wants to listen to. Totally understood. I like it because of the fact that I could find new music that I have never listened to, and that's the reason why I like Spotify. Everyone has their preference, and podcasting has a ton of podcasts now, including yours, and I love that because it will keep where my place was, and I can go back to it and stream it, and it's great. It's fantastic.
Here's the thing. The whole thing with about the whole debate between Apple and Android and whatnot. I don't really hate Android as much as some like Apple people do. It works better for some people who totally want to customize all of their stuff. So I just tend to like the how everything is streamlined with Apple, and that's okay. The one thing I don't really get though is Amazon, because now they have the whole thing with like Amazon Music and Amazon Kindle, and so that is the one ecosystem that is a little weird to me between, I guess, the big three. So speaking of tech, so what do you think of Facebook and Twitter and all? Like, people are saying that they should be regulated.
The less regulation, the better. I think that's a pretty conservative value.
Yeah, I mean, but you would be surprised. I actually do think that Facebook should. First of all, I think Facebook has way too much power.
Well, I mean, that also goes down to the market. If a lot of people think that Facebook is really like aggregating their people towards more democratic values, meaning like the Democratic Party, not democratic meaning like democracy,
right?
Go to somewhere else. But there's nowhere else to go, so make something else and get yourself heard. Facebook, I'm not so knowledgeable of, but I know for Google, because they've been having their congressional meetings publicized on YouTube or whatever. YouTube is super middle of the ground, like really super middle of the ground.
Yeah, they actually are. Like, most conservatives say that they aren't. But I mean, I certainly think that their algorithms can be biased a little bit. I don't think that's necessarily intentional, though.
Right. I think it's off of the algorithm, off of their majority of people. Most people on YouTube are most likely liberal because they're millennials, and they're most likely male. So they're going to have their demographics point towards more conservative male opinions or videos.
Well, and then I think you get podcasts just like Joe Rogan and Adam Carolla and myself.
For Joe Rogan, the thing I love about him is the fact that he'll have a person on his show he completely disagrees with, but has a conversation. Like, my favorite episode of Joe Rogan is 100% 9/11, episode 9/11, because that's the episode with Joey Diaz and Alex Jones. Because he's like, people always tell me that Alex Jones is so crazy. He's my friend. I don't care what he has to say. He's my friend.
Yeah, no. I think episode 9/11 that didn't have Joey Diaz. That had the other guy. The
Joey. Hold on, I'm gonna Google it.
That also shows what a goof out.
Eddie Bravo. That's what I'm thinking of.
Eddie
I'm
Bravo.
Sorry, Diaz. I'm thinking of Eddie Bravo.
No, my favorite interview was that Rogan did this year was the Elon Musk interview that he.
Oh my god! And he took one hit of a joint, and everyone's blowing up. crashed because he had a hit of a joint? Are you?
I know. Yeah, I actually went. If you look up the, I think I did an episode of. So I do a live stream podcast on Saturday, which is what this is, and then I upload the audio, and then I don't know if you saw. I also do like a Thursday audio only podcast too.
That's the one I watched for your graduation.
Oh yeah. So you got to hear my little rant about how valedictorian speeches are fucking overrated, which
and
they've
awful.
Yeah, which they've.
Yeah, how was the marching band or your college's band?
They weren't bad. The band was actually. It was about what I thought. The band was actually good.
Yeah.
But it was just like even the counselor was like helping me get up. They were like, okay, there's like 20 more minutes. This was like after everyone went through their name, and they're like, okay, there's 20 more minutes of bullshit, and then you guys can go. We actually got done with the ceremony at like 9:30, so it wasn't as bad as.
When did it start? 8:30, 9 o'clock, or 7 o'clock?
It started at 7. Like it ended around. It ended around 9:15. The thing is, though, it was like they okay. So they were originally saying that it was going to be like from 7 to 10 p.m. And my mom was like, "That's insane. I've got to work in the morning." Well, and then plus the fact that it was at night too.
Yeah, I gotta pee again.
So, hey man,
True YouTube administrator goes to PBRB. True life.
I understand that. Yeah. So for those of you on YouTube who aren't subscribed to the audio podcast, most of you are. I'm assuming you should. Thursday is mainly my. Let's be honest. This whole podcast is mainly my rant, but like the Thursday podcast is more like a personal journal type thing that I do that's audio only. So I ranted about things, and so this last one I ranted about graduation day and how I think valedictorian speeches are stupid because basically everyone in college mostly goes through the same program. The only thing that differentiates, valedictorians from the rest of the people is their GPA. So there's no reason for valedictorians in my mind to be able. I'm not saying that they haven't worked hard, but I think the speeches that they write when they're 15 minutes long, there's no reason for that. I think that's stupid. Cookie. I'm like, it's that
a non-pot cookie.
Yum. This
chocolate chip.
This segment of the show is sponsored by chocolate chip cookies. So, no, I was just kind of recapping for people how, basically I think valedictorian speeches, it's not that they're bad, I just think that some of these people get up there and talk a little long. So, it's like we all went through the same program, and my overall point is no one in 15 years is going to be like, wow, that guy's valedictorian speech has inspired me to this day.
It impacted my life greatly.
In fact, I think I told the story of the valedictorian in my high school ended up like dropping out of college because he never. Okay, yeah. So one of the valedictorians in my high school who went up there and did like a whole speech. He went to CU Boulder, I think it was, which is a major party school in Colorado. It's one of the top party schools in Colorado and the United States to begin with. CU Boulder is always on that list. Thank you, Darnisha. Max.
5-minute speeches, exactly.
So the guy at my high school goes up and gives like this basically 15 to 20 minute speech about his entire academic career, and does this whole like inspirational like, we should all Like
In ninth grade, I took Calculus 5. Okay, cool. Get off the stage, dude. I don't care.
so basically, he goes on like this whole thing how he was involved in the student senate, and so my point though being is like all this magnificent stuff that he did in high school, he basically became a stoner in college, and not like a productive stoner or anything like
You mean a pothead?
Yeah.
There's a huge difference between a pothead and a stoner.
Yeah.
A pothead completely gives up on all of their aspirations and just smokes weed. A stoner studies really fucking hard so that at the end of the night they can smoke weed.
Yeah, so basically this guy became a pothead, dropped out, and is now like I don't even know what but point being is it's always like, and I can tell you why. He even admitted this on Facebook. It's because he was like, well, I guess I got a little. He's like, I guess I got a little cocky because like school was easy for me, and like and I'm like, yeah, no shit. That's why you. I mean, I didn't say that to him, but yeah, you
can. I drop a name?
Yeah, you can.
Is it Luke?
No. Luke
is the only person from your high school that I know. That's why I dropped it.
Luke was a bothead in high school, but no, he did the opposite, dude. Where like he was kind of a waste product in high school, and then he really turned his life around. Like once, so that's the interesting thing, and that's my other theory about like kids who either struggle or only do like okay in high school tend to do better in real life. Like once they're in college and once they're actually like in the workforce, they tend to do better. Versus like, and I don't want to stereotype, but all of these jocks from my high school are like, I was the best kicker, and like they always like to relive their glory days.
Oh yeah.
And by the way, our team never even went to the fucking state championship when I was there. So shut the fuck up, Blake. So
yeah, fuck you, Blake.
So you might have been a good quarterback, but you weren't even good enough to get us to stay. They went my high school football team went to the state championship and won after I left high school, like the year after. I was like,
yeah, so Blake was graduating and didn't give it like.
Oh, but I helped train those guys, and I helped
yeah.
I'm sure. I helped inspire those guys. They're when they were juniors and sophomores and lower classmen. I was the one teaching them all the stuff they need to know. Yeah, sure you were. So.
Nah, every person in my high school who told me that they were gonna. There was one person who I went to high school with who actually, in terms of sports, did a thing. He was a baseball player, and he now plays for the Dodgers. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool. But also, like, I bet he was one of these kids who was busting his ass though too. And like,
he was a total like baseball guy in high school, and like everyone knew, like, if anybody went to the MLB, it's Nick. Like totally. And he did. And everyone who played football, not a single one of them went to a major college for football because none of them were good enough because our high school sucked. Yeah. And it's even bigger for where you are in the country because the South really, they love their football.
Oh God, yeah, they do. Even USF, which is the school I'm now going to, they have a football team.
You're going to USF, University, what is that?
University of South Florida. So
South Florida, got it.
I'm not going to the big one in Tampa. I'm going to one of the satellite campuses, but still, it's...
Hey, same degree.
Well, same degree, and it's literally 15 minutes from my house, so I can...
I don't blame you at all.
I can literally roll my power chair there, and so... And but yeah, high school. Football was a big thing down here, and it is in Florida, but like if you go into like Alabama, that's where it's the biggest.
Roll Tide.
Yeah.
Who do you have for the college football world championship or whatever the hell they call it?
Not Ohio State. Sorry, Matt Dallas. So
A 0-56 last year or something like that.
They straight lost.
Oh, they got demolished last year. I'm so happy they didn't make it in the top 4 this year.
Ha ha ha! Matt's gonna be calling you after this, like, fuck you, Sam. So, just to piss me off, he would always do that stupid O-H-I, like Ohio.
I know my state is 4 letters long. I can spell it with the chant. Cool, bro. P-E-N-N. Can't spell out.
But yeah, but like Ohio fans, they'll always do that at like weddings and like stuff that is like non-football. But they'll be like, "Dude, you went to Ohio State?" "Yeah, I went to Ohio State." And then they'll do the whole and I'm like, you're at a wedding. Like, this has nothing to do with college football at all. Like, but
most I'll say to somebody if we're at like a wedding or something and they went to Penn State, I'd be like, "Yo, nice hat." Nobody from Penn State says randomly. No one will be like, "Yo, we are," and no one does that. The only time you ever do that is at a football game. Another funny story. I was a sophomore at Penn State Harrisburg, and I was listening to the Painkiller Already, the podcast I listen to every episode. Painkiller Already, they were talking about Japanese bug fighting. I'll never forget. and I thought, I had my headphones in, I was sitting in the commons area, and I thought I heard a tour group say, "We are!" And so I, as a sophomore, sitting in a commons full of people, went, "Penn State! We are! Penn State! We are! Penn State! Thank you! You're welcome!" I don't think anybody actually said, "We are." I think I was just randomly sitting in the commons going, "Penn State! Penn State!"
And so you were hallucinating that.
I must have been. And that was when I literally never had a sip of alcohol. Nothing. I think I had the only thing I ever did in terms of drugs or alcohol prior to my 18th birthday. 2 months prior to my 18th birthday, I smoked a Black and Mild with some friends. That was the only thing I've done prior to that point. So I was stone cold sober, hallucinating people saying "we are." Crazy.
DMT, yo. So
DMT. You ought to have been meeting God at that point. I had a friend who made DMT. Do you want to hear that story?
Oh, sure, man. Well, what?
So, a friend of mine was really into drugs, and I mean, like, if he's watching, I'm not gonna say his name, but if you're watching, yo, love you, bro. But he was super, he was a stoner prior to stoner being a thing for me. Like, I didn't know anybody he was my first friend that was a stoner. He was also super into drugs, and so he made DMT in his closet, which has crazy ass ingredients, like battery acid and shit, like crazy stuff. He made it and then tripped. So his first trip, and he did 3 of them back to back to back, because that's what you do with DMT. For those of you who don't know, DMT is a naturally occurring substance, chemical in your brain that releases tiny amounts. You know, at this moment, your brain has a tiny amount of DMT in it. He made a crystallized fake version of it and smoked it, pretty much through a crack pipe, if you want to think of it that way. He had his first hallucination, which he claimed, he was like, yeah, so when you smoke it, you take a huge hit and you hold it in as long as possible. And he says people either experience this total silence, like mind-numbing silence, or you hear a buzz in your ear. He heard silence, so he heard nothing. He exhaled. Within seconds, he was hallucinating. He puked into a bucket. It was just a regular bowl, like kitchen bowl. Everyone has one. He puked into it. He said that he saw millions of tiny African tribal people with masks on dancing, like with their masks, just dancing. He said all the shapes were really, really, really rigid. Whatever. He passes out, wakes up a couple minutes later. Nothing happened when he passed out. Took a second hit. Held in as long as he could. That time, he heard the ringing. And he held it until the ringing was so bad that he had to, like, literally let go. Exhaled, puked, looked into his bucket, couldn't see anything like he did before. Saw super, like, all the edges of his world were, like, extremely sharp. He said colors were crazy. He passed out. He saw his roommate check on him. When he came back, he was like, yo, did you check on me? He was like, yeah, dude, I checked on you. He's like, I saw it. Third hit he took was when he made the breakthrough, which is what you're going for if you're doing DMT. So he took his third hit, he passed out prior to him even exhaling. He exhaled when he passed out. He just, like, fell onto his couch, like, bad. I just realized my mic is in this ear. So he passes out. Everything's crazy for him in terms of, like, what he's seeing, because he sees his roommate check on him, make sure he's okay. And then he said he didn't even turn, but his body was forced to turn the opposite direction of his body, and he was shot through the universe, and he met God. He said, now normally I've talked to a couple of people who've tripped on DMT. If you're watching this, I have never tripped on DMT. Don't really have any intention on tripping on DMT.
Neither have I. Same and same.
Right, but he said that he met God, and most people see God through one particular color. Some people have seen her every time. God is a woman, by the way. Every time someone who's tripped on DMT has told me, every time it's a girl. She is the green goddess of plants, or she is the purple goddess of the universe. People always see her in a distinct color. He saw her in rainbow, which was cool because it was like all encompassing. And he said that they talked, but not with words, through telekinesis. Like, God talked to him. They talked about his life and what he was doing, and then that was it.
I've heard of that too, like that you telepathically. That goes to my theory too, that in reality we're all just forms of energy, and all this is just like a body bag kinda.
Totally. And he said when he came back, he felt super regenerated and, like, good about life, and then it was over. And it's interesting because when you talk to people who've experienced, like, life after death, where they, like, died but then came back, no matter if you're a Muslim, if you're a Christian, if you're Jewish, if you're agnostic, if you're an atheist, it doesn't matter, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever. Every person experiences the same thing. So if you ask me my opinion of God, I think that we're all God. We all are the super being that we are because of DMT. If you die, DMT, and your brain is intact, DMT floods your brain, which gives you the image of talking to God. What's after that? I have no idea. But at this point in my life, I'm pretty sure that the DMT that's naturally in our brain, that when you die gets leaked out in large amounts, which is scientifically proven, that's what we imagine the afterlife being. That's where all of this came from. Do you think Moses actually talked to a burning bush?
Well,
Not.
Well, I've actually heard that, yeah, there is like a burning bush in like the Middle East, but the reason why he says he talked to God, I just heard this on Rogan's podcast the other day. The reason why Moses claims that he talked to God is there's this burning bush in the Middle East somewhere that when it burns and like catches fire because it's like super dry there or whatever, it releases like some sort of
like a hallucinogen or something?
Yeah, so basically like So basically, Moses was tripping balls, and then led a revolution against Egypt. So
which, by the way, we have no documentation besides the Torah of Jews being imprisoned in Egypt. But whatever.
Well,
he was still tripping balls when he was doing it, regardless of if he took mushrooms or something prior or not. And by the way, psilocybin, which is a non-addictive, totally natural substance, is being legalized possibly in Oregon. So Eric still can't do it because you work for the government, but you can because psilocybin lasts in your system for 6 hours or something like that. So trip on mushrooms.
Well, as my alt-right guest will say, the Jews, of course, they're going to make up a story about being imprisoned in Egypt because it's the Jews. So
yeah, the Jews are all everything that's wrong with this country is because the Jews. What? The number one hatred that I like of terms of people hating somebody because of race is the Jews. The Jews have been literally under attack since the beginning of their creation.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not necessarily their fault. I mean, I understand they went to what they call now Israel, which was somebody else's land, and they took over, but so did we. So, like, I don't condemn Israel for taking Palestine's land, but Palestine still wants their spot back, obviously, so you can't have a coherent multi-group of people because you claim this is your holy land. I totally understand, like, that whole issue. But, Jews and Muslims, you know how you fix world peace? You coexist in the same land.
It's
how you do.
It's a clusterfuck over there, so...
Everyone's saying that they're right, and they're not hearing the other side. It's crazy, because since I lived in America, and mostly a Christian nation, I've always heard, like, Israel's the rightful owner, Israel. I met somebody who's from Palestine, and they were the first people on Instagram. I saw they posted a picture of them in the West Bank, and they were like, Palestine is the real owner of this land. And I was like, holy shit. Maybe there's an entire side I haven't been listening to. So I listened to their side, and I'm like... They kind of sound like the natives of America who were like, this was our land. It wasn't even our land. It was the land that we were borrowing, and then someone took it and said it was theirs. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard both sides, and I'm like, you could both be right, you could both be wrong. I'm not really, it's just, it's the weird thing is though is like all these, is that like all these like weirdly anti-Semitic like alt-right people like Richard Spencer will then like they'll be pro-Palestine, but it will only be because they're like extremely anti-Jew. So,
right. And whoever is anti-Semitic at this point, why
eat shit?
The dude who shot up in Pittsburgh, which. Like, it's funny because Pittsburgh right now is like 5 hours away. At in-state college, it's about 2.5. Zero impact. To hear that Pittsburgh had a shooting, and it was because some dude was anti-Semitic. Like, I own a gun. Okay, the gun is like within 50 feet of me right now. Do I have access to it? No, because my dad has locked it. He literally has a lock that he's the only person with a key. So when I officially move out and not have like direct ties with my family. Like when I go home, it's not going home to my parents. He'll probably give it to me. I will happily own a gun in my life. But when you're like on social media, extremely anti-Semitic, and you say that the Jews are the problem of America and that you want to end the issue, you shouldn't have guns.
Well,
if you are a person who has deliberately said that they will commit acts of violence against another person, you shouldn't have guns. I'm totally Second Amendment. Sam, I think you totally should be able to have as many guns as you wish. Because I know you.
Yeah.
But that's the hard thing about government. The government doesn't know a person. So why is it the government's decision to tell people who own guns? It should be the community. It should be, hey, this person... fucking psychopathic. Shouldn't have guns. But how do we tell that to the government who's restricting and providing guns for people or allowing people to have guns? Like, we can't.
The the weirdest thing, though, in regards to this whole gun issue is we don't. I know it's cliche. I know it's a cliche, but we really don't talk enough about mental health in this in this country. We really don't. Listen. To quote Dennis Miller on one of his recent podcasts, we could take away all of the guns, and people would still commit mass murder with sticks and stones and start, like, people who want to kill will find a way to kill. Like I did a podcast, and this goes to the incompetency of the federal government, just in general, but with the whole shooting it was here in Florida. I can't remember. It was the high school that, like, made all those high school kids really famous and made them political figures, even though they're high school kids and shouldn't
Parkland.
Oh yeah, thank you, Parkland. The kid who did Parkland. Everyone wants to talk about the guns, but no one wants to talk about the FBI. The FBI was the police and the FBI were both notified. Like, I can't remember the exact number, so I'm not going to misquote numbers. But it was some astronomical number. Like, they had been notified multiple times that this kid is threatening to shoot up the school. Oh yeah, we'll check it out. We'll talk to him. Hey, this kid is. Thank you for notifying the FBI. Hey, this kid is.
Now we're going to do nothing like the government always does.
People, and yet whenever the things happen, we need to talk about the Second Amendment. It's like, no, we need to talk about we've already talked about guns and, ammunition. We need to talk about law enforcement and bureaucracies. Like, how many, Jeff? I would honestly be afraid to find out, to look in the files of the FBI or of any police department and see how many of these serious threats have just been filed in, like, a back room somewhere. Like that's what.
Yeah.
Like, that's what.
I mean, it goes back to Brian, who's super against the police. It's back to his point, which is like they do whatever they want.
Yeah, or they don't do whatever they want. So I mean, and even with the Parkland police, like, the police, and the same thing happened with Columbine back in the 90s. When Columbine happened, the police were outside and they stood down waiting for orders from their bosses while kids were inside getting massacred. And then finally with Parkland, the only reason why the shooter got stopped was because one rookie cop was like, fuck this, I'm going in anyway. Went in, got shot himself. Then the entire SWAT team went in and fucking stormed the place. So, and by the way, I'm not, usually I would say take him alive, but it's a school shooter. They should have just. This is why I would be a bad cop, because I would be corrupt. If I saw a school shooter, I would have no qualms with shooting him and then saying, my finger.
Shoot first, ask questions later when it comes to the safety of our children.
Yeah.
Totally.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, Brian has a whole interesting channel. Shout out to Brian. His whole YouTube channel documents the weirdness of the Vegas shooting and how literally Vegas. Okay, I don't believe in conspiracies, but the Vegas shooting certainly does seem a little weird.
Crazy. Yeah.
Because there was because there was that shooting, and then we've literally heard nothing on it from the mainstream press. Nothing at all. So,
I want to ask you about the wall.
The wall. We're gonna build a big wall. We're gonna make it. I don't. Look,
First Mexico was going to pay for it, and then he was like, Mexico's not going to pay for it, but you are. And then he was like, you are, or we're going to shut the fucking government down. Which, by the way, government shutting down.
Which
let it.
Which yeah, which
let it shut down. You know how much of my life is going to be impacted? 2%, because of my news sources are going to be like, hey, government's down. What are we going to do? It's going to be like, live our lives.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, well, this happens every year with every presidency. They're like,
every time
the government's gonna shut down, and then at the last possible minute, it's like, no, it's not. So, but no. Here's the thing with the wall. I don't think at this point it's going to happen. Should it happen? Maybe. Should we definitely do something about our immigration system? Yes, absolutely. Is it inherently racist wanting to build a wall? I don't think so. Otherwise, wouldn't every country be racist because everyone else has a border? But will Trump do it? I don't. Trump said that he was going to put Hillary in prison. Okay, and then the day after was like, well, maybe I won't put her. I mean, she kind of is old, and I don't want to hurt her anymore. And I was like, oh, come on, duh. I was kind of like, come on, Trump. I just want to see her and Bill in jail because I know they've done something illegal. So,
like goddamn mobsters. By the way, the U.S. government, according to Wikipedia, shut down in 1980, 81, 84, 86, 90, 95 to 96, 2013, and possibly 2018. So under Reagan, minimum of 3 times. Minimum of 2.
Yeah.
But possibly 4.
Well, I also love how, I suppose it's time for me to rip on Matt's former employer. He doesn't really care. He would probably laugh, but I love how, I don't know if you follow Turning Point USA, but, you know, that they always used to be like to shut down the government, and now they're like, the Dems want to shut down. We can't let that happen. And I'm like,
yo, I stopped subscribing. I almost started Penn State's chapter of Turning Point USA.
I know.
But after they screwed over Matt, I was like, I want nothing to do with them.
No.
Not a single. I don't even want my name associated with Turning Point USA because they fucked Matt over.
They fucked him over. They fucked Kyle Foley over. They fucked a lot of people. But by the way, you can please support the Young Americans for Liberty chapter at State College of Florida, even though I'm no longer there. So that's another funny story I have to tell you. So,
to Charlie Kirk, fuck you.
Yes, I will concur with that. Yeah. Well, I mean, I've heard stories about how basically like the student summit in Florida or whatever is basically just a big hookup.
Well, no, to be honest, I'm not surprised because I think CPAC is about the same thing. Because when I went to CPAC that one year, when I met Matt and Stephanie and Steven in person, I went to Matt's apartment, like the hotel room he was staying at in the Gaylord, and good lord, every dude in there was talking about hooking up with some girl from the fucking convention, and it was insane. I'm like, bro, put And Matt asked me for fashion advice, and I was like, I'm the worst gay person to ask about this shit. You look good in both. I don't care.
He should have asked me. So
You or Perkins or anyone besides me. I was like, I'm no help to you.
yeah, that's the one reason why I want to go to Ohio. Literally. So
Dude, if you ever make your ass down to CPAC, I will go to DC.
I might. I seriously might. But then again, DC is freezing in February.
Dude, tell me about it. Dude, you don't. What's the temperature right now in your hometown? You don't have to say the town, but I'm going to AccuWeather right now. I'm looking up in Harrisburg,
Denver
right now.
or in Florida.
In Florida.
Let's see. Oh, by the way, I am wearing a sweatshirt.
I saw.
So, go Broncos. Although we're not. It's 61, which is actually cold in Florida. What's
Broncos? Hold on, let me look right now. The score is currently 17. Oh, they lost.
Yeah,
by 1 point.
Yeah, we've had an intermittent year.
Yeah, it's 45 degrees and raining right here in Harrisburg right now. So
well, at least it's not snowing.
it's not snowing, but at this point, I'd rather it be 30 degrees and snowing than 45 and raining. I would much rather have the snow.
Dude, it rains here so much. I kind of feel you on that. So.
Yo, Ireland, no kidding. Actually, it rains there every day, but it's like a mist.
Yeah.
Love it. Favorite country that I've been to outside the U.S. by far.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we ought to go to Ireland. If we really wanted to. This is when both our podcasts need to get like super big money. We need to get like some major really big sponsor. Maybe get Guinness or something to sponsor both our shows. Go out to Ireland, do a podcast in a pub, and just get shit faced. So,
dude, I'd be sit down for a drinking episode.
So I think Kumia did that one year on Compound actually. So,
damn, we've been going for a long time.
Yeah, we've been going for about 2 hours and 27 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
Only one dislike from Gabe. Sorry, Jeff got on your bonnet, Gabe. But as you know, I have guests who I don't always agree with. Or
yeah, I'm gonna go to the bathroom one more time, and you wanna end the show after that?
Sure, we can wrap this thing up. I think.
Give me 1 second.
So yeah, I think this is my second longest episode. Thanks for the 9 likes and dislikes. By the way, I rarely do this, but for those who are interested, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @70_NDC. You can. Oh, thank you, Meister Stillwater. I really appreciate your compliment, I guess. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @70_NDC, Gab at Sam Whitfield, Facebook.com/Whitfield Report. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and all that sort of stuff. Also, please subscribe to the channel, and I would really appreciate that. I'm at like I think 89 subscribers, looking to get to 100 so I can finally give this thing the official URL of youtube.com/Whitfield Report. So, but anyway, while you were gone, I was just reading over my contact info and seeing that we have 9 likes and 1 dislike.
10 for me. It's 10.
Oh, 10. Yeah, let me refresh.
Darnisha tweeted, in my 19 years, this has been the most random and wild conversation I've ever witnessed. The Whitfield analysis Saturday, the return of Jeff Hamill. Retweet.
I appreciate this. I appreciate that. I'll take that as a compliment. So, I don't think we're even the most random though. I've heard Joe Rogan go on some pretty
hour-long fucking stories about random shit.
4-hour random long podcast. We're doing 2. This is nothing. So
right.
Anyway, Jeff. Also, while I'm on air, I might as well see if there's a way I can make you like a. Do I need to be live in there with on the page to make you a mod, or
you might have to be.
Okay. This is gonna get trippy, folks. Hang on, I'm actually gonna log into the chat as the Whitfield report to give Jeff the wrench. So
I commented hi, so you can find my name quickly.
Of course we all know Jeff has a big wrench as is. Wink wink. Wink wink. So.
Oh, how not wrong you are.
But yes.
Allegedly, right?
Oh. Yeah. Well, that was weird. I just can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, yeah. I activated Siri on my Mac, so I was like, oh crap. But
what a bummer.
Yeah. Anyway, though.
This was a ton of fun. 2.5 hours bullshitting with my old friend Sam. Definitely want to do this again, and I'm actually considering for the new year to restart the old podcast, the JHP, and getting some friends on there and talking. Maybe it won't be every week. Like you have like multiple shows a week. Maybe I'll do.
I only do 2 times per week. I know people are like, well, you only, but dude, I know people who do podcasts every
day, dude. I mean, you did a shout out for one of the guys on Anchor, and you said he did like 20-minute podcasts, but they're every day. It's like that's insane.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is insane. Okay, what is it saying? Error making local recording. That's fine. This is all getting archived on YouTube anyway. Hopefully.
By the way, vaping on all show long, Baja Blast. Fantastic. If you're a fan of the drink, check out the vape juice. I don't have a brand. I'm not selling out, but Baja Blast, fantastic. You don't vape at all, do you? You just smoke cigars?
No, I've thought about maybe getting into vaping just because I've heard that you can get vape pens and take them on campus. That's the one. But I don't know. I've also heard that the vape, you get holes in your lungs if you do that. So
we're all gonna die from cancer anyway.
Yeah, I know. Eric's saying only 2 times a week. I know, Eric, but believe me, and compared to dude, Adam Carolla, you think Joe Rogan? Adam Carolla, who kind of started podcasting, he does multiple podcasts a week. He does
7, 8.
Yeah, He's made podcasting just on his into a multi-million-dollar thing. It's insane.
The dream.
So, yep, it truly is. I'm so glad though that I didn't end up going into broadcasting because radio, I think, I hate to say it, but radio I think is pretty much dead. DOA with the arrival of podcasting, which you and I were both kind of on the forefront of, I think radio is dying / already kind of dead. So,
Podcasting is definitely the way to go. I mean, I love the medium. It just
yeah.
for a shout out for myself, twitter.com/thejhp and SOC, that is 119 social 19. God, I would love over winter break. I think it's next Friday afternoon on Eastern time. My boss, the professor of the class, and Bassem, a friend of ours from Iraq who got his house bombed by the U.S. accidentally, they're going to be doing a live stream on Friday. So I'm gonna be tweeting that out. So it'd be cool if you guys show up. If not, I mean, sure. But I would love to have a conversation with you at least, even if it's just over Facebook chat about his. Like, if you've never seen his story, I'll link you on Facebook. But like, his story is insane. They're doing a live stream from Iraq. It's a little bit outside of Mosul, which is the northern section of Iraq. I'm super looking forward to that. Just talking about life and what is it to be an everyday Muslim, and for if Brian ends up, I don't think he's here anymore, but if Brian or Gabe or the Jolly Roger, if they listen to this in on demand, highly recommend that show. It'll be on youtube.com/social19/live. That would be super, super exciting because you hear a totally different perspective. Totally different.
Okay, I'm going into the live stream. I just paused it, so now I can add you.
Hey.
Now I can make you a mod. So okay, add moderator, and Eric, since you're here too, what the fuck? I'm gonna make you a mod too. Not sure that's such a good idea because because Eric's a government worker with a huge power trip, so. But you are both mods now, my friends. So.
By the way, Eric said, "Come to fucking Portland, and you'll reevaluate the meeting to a lot of rain." I'm aware of that.
Yeah, Eric goes, "Oh shit, sweet, yeah." So you are a mod now. So.
I can't moderate another mod.
Nope, you can't.
Banning everything.
Bill.
For those of you who are listening on demand, you really need to watch the show live because the YouTube chat has been hilarious this entire time.
You do, but please also continue to download the audio podcast because
always
that's how I make my money because ban Jeff. So Josh has the perfect comment. Welcome to the tool shed, Eric. So yeah, Josh Rogers is a really good guy too. So I'm
surprised Zach hasn't showed up.
Oh yeah, Zach Angel? Yeah, Zach's interesting. I mean I love the guy, but he and I will like constantly get into like the most he'll like get into the most logical like long like he'll get into like a long style like form debate like Jordan he'll like have like a Jordan Peterson like philosophical discussion over Marvel movies. So
Yo, Marvel movies way better than DC movies.
Oh yeah.
DC TV shows way better than Marvel TV shows.
Yeah, although I am fucking pissed that Netflix canceled basically all the canceled like Daredevil and all of the Netflix shows.
I think that's because they're owned by Disney.
Yeah,
they're to the Disney new streaming service.
Yeah, which I mean, depending on how that thing is priced, I mean, it
might be a good idea.
It might, but like, if it's like like I've heard that DC Comics just made like an all access subscription thing too.
Yeah, it's called the CW.
Well, no, but DC Comics is now making like their own streaming service, like the actual comic company. It's like $150 per year, but it's like a ripoff. Like that's way too much.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I don't know. We're in a time now where you literally don't need cable. I don't have it.
Same. It was, it's so funny about, since my major was telecommunications, super interested in the legality of internet service providers in America. And it's super funny because my parents, throughout most of my high school years, were like, internet's important, but it's not the most important thing. And I would rage because on like Xbox Live, I was lagging Gears of War and Call of Duty, and they're like, it's nothing. And then my parents quit cable, well, technically DirecTV, but same shit.
Right.
They quit cable and went to Sling, all on the internet. By the way, Sling is headquartered in Denver, Colorado.
I know that. So.
Yes, and they're off of Dish or whatever. But as soon as they got Sling, they were like, oh, internet actually means something. So now we have killer internet here because my parents stream all of their TV.
Yeah, whereas my mom, once we moved here, was like, fuck it, Netflix and whatnot is going to become so huge, like, we're not going to need, we're just going to be able to stream all our content, and she was right. So we canceled. We have Frontier here, formerly known as Verizon Fios. They were charging us for cable, phone, and internet like $200 a month. No, $250 a month. Now we just have internet for $60, and we have like top tier.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
They're always trying to push you towards some stupid bundle. My boyfriend lives outside of Gettysburg area, like the Battle of Gettysburg, that area. Comcast is literally practically across the street.
Oh yeah.
Not at his place. They have DSL modem BS, and I called Comcast and I was like, so how much would it cost to get internet at their house? And they were like, we can't. Which goes on. We could do a whole podcast on internet service.
Oh yeah,
and how awful the monopoly is, and how the U.S. government should not be supporting it. We should allow Time Warner, Comcast, Fios, Google Fiber, any other type, all of them across the U.S. Your area of coverage is the entire United States. Figure it out.
That whole thing of net neutrality. Well, the government needs to step in, and now it really.
Well, with net neutrality, I kind of understand. I mean, Netflix uses 30% of the worldwide bandwidth, and that's a lot. And so, yeah, you can make them pay a little extra.
It's lot, but think of how massive their servers are, though, too, just to like power that shit. So
most of Netflix is based off of Amazon Web Services.
I know that. Well, same with my dad's company, Salesforce. They have a lot of their own.
Your dad works for Salesforce?
Yeah, my dad works for Salesforce. So I'm going to USF now. I'm studying what they call technical communications, which is, it used to be called technical writing because like pre-internet, it was basically like writing instruction manuals for products, which is super boring, but now it's like more into like public relations and whatnot for companies. And my dad is already kind of, he hasn't directly said it, but I know he's pretty much already kind of recruiting me to work for Salesforce.
Take it.
Yeah, that's pretty much, I think, I'm going to be making, maybe not right away, but eventually as a technical writer, just in the field in general, I could make $500,000 a year. $500K, that's not...
Dude, the amount of money that I'm making, you be like, and you're doing that full time. The coolest thing about my job is the fact that I live stream twice a week, and I know more about live streaming than anybody else at the university.
Yeah.
So I have a really cool opportunity to become one of the heads of live streaming for Penn State. Potentially, nothing's set in stone, anything could change, but that's where my trajectory is going, and it's totally by happenstance. Like, it just so happens that I'm in this situation because of things that happen in my life, and you're in the same boat. You're like, yeah, my dad might get me a job. Take it, dude. If you don't need a master's degree, don't fucking do it. I'm going for my master's next year because I need it to go past Penn State. Like, don't take it. If you're moving back to Denver, take it, and then send me your address, and I'll be there.
Well, that's the interesting thing. So I might still be in for it. I might. Either way, I'm probably gonna be traveling and working a lot. With like my dad, because he travels, and going. I'm probably going to be in California a lot. Like, even if I don't live there, because Salesforce is headquartered in San Francisco. So,
San Francisco is a beautiful city.
Have you
ever been?
Yeah, I've been there twice. I was there.
Beautiful.
I was there once when I was like going into my freshman year of high school, and then I think I went back like my junior year, if I'm not mistaken, of high school. But yeah, it's been a while. People are always like, "Oh, you need to go to LA," and I'm like, "Have you been to San Francisco?" No, but and I'm like, I've never.
San Francisco has the most beautiful weather because it's the same 20-degree difference all year long.
Yeah.
If you're like me and you absolutely love wearing jeans and sweatshirts, that's the place you need to go. And I mean, I knew we were supposed to end like 20 minutes ago.
That's fine, man. That's why.
That's what we do, right?
That's why I love this.
When I was in San Francisco, I went for a week between my junior and senior year of college for a friend of mine's 21st birthday. She lives in Mission in San Francisco, 2 blocks away from the Princess Diaries house, by the way. I was at Mission Dolores Park, most famous park in San Francisco.
Yep.
I walked up there's a walkway in the middle of the park, and I'm walking up the walkway, and to my left, around this giant tree, there's like 40 people, and there's like 8 or 9 bongs that they each have packed full of weed, and they're just hitting it and handing it to the next person, and then they get the other one, and they just hit it and hand it to the next person. And I'm like, yo, this is freedom right here. And then I was sitting next, we were maybe like 100 yards away from the playground, and we saw a mom who was sitting on her lawn chair, drinking a Bud Light right outside of like the kids area, just watching her kids, making sure her kids are okay, so that if she needs to, she can walk into the play area and help her kids if they get hurt or whatever. I'm like, yo, that's how America should be. We should be able to drink beer or smoke a joint or whatever, and as long as we're coherent and we're able to help our kids. If you're getting to the point where if you're incoherent and you can't help your kid, obviously you've gone too far and you need help. But like, if you're just drinking a Bud Light, dude, that's the most American thing I've seen in my life. Drinking a Bud Light, watching your kids.
The
San Francisco is beautiful. I love it.
The problem with California, though, is just in general, it's 13% income tax, and it's, dude, it's gotten so expensive there that it's cheaper for most of the Hollywood studios to film internationally, including expenses for filming internationally. It's cheaper to do all that shit abroad than it is to do in California. That's how
Eric said to go up to Portland, wheel yourself up to Portland. That's a 9.5-hour drive, dude. That's a 10-hour drive.
Yeah.
Up Interstate 5.
Yeah. I would do it for you, Eric, but
The most I might go up to Oregon is Salem.
yeah.
So meet me in Salem, Eric, and we have ourselves a deal.
That seems fair. Yeah, and I don't know if I'll be going to San Fran for sure, but what I'm saying is, like, if I work for my dad's company, I'll for sure I will for sure be in San Fran a lot for work anyway. So, but he can wheel his way up. Oh, by the way, Eric, you and I need to talk again. I just finished Peter Townsend's autobiography, so that was neat. But anyway, Jeff, one last question before you go. What are your plans for Christmas? Do you have time off at all, or?
Yeah, so for the next work week, I'm working from my parents' house, which is super exciting. But that's why I have 2 PCs here, because I have like 30 projects to do within 5 days. And then starting next weekend, I have off until January 1st. And then on the 2nd, I'm headed back up to University Park State College and working. So I'll be home next week. Next weekend, I'm going to Norfolk, Virginia with my family, and then having Christmas down there, and then heading back up. And then during Thanksgiving was the first time that my parents, not my parents, but the rest of my family, like my aunt and uncle and cousins and grandmother, met my boyfriend. And so I'm really hoping that we're able to have him come for Christmas as well. That would be really sweet. So by and large, my roommate from college, which I don't know if you even know this, but the roommate that I had in my junior year of college, my first year at like University Park, like the main Penn State campus where Beaver Stadium and the football program is. The first semester I was there, I met a guy named Dimitri, who is from a tiny island nation off the coast of Madagascar. He actually ended up becoming super close friends with me, getting an internship, moving to Lancaster. His mom, he still lives with my parents. He has a job in Harrisburg. He lives with my parents, and his mom came from Africa over. And so she's here for the new year, and it's amazing to have her here nonetheless. The fact that besides her awesome accent and the two of them speaking in French back and forth, I just love her being here. So Christmas should be really, really cool because I'll have Dimitri and part of his family, my family, hopefully Michael, and then I'm going to definitely be going over to his family's house. And the following weekend, we're going to D.C. to go shopping. So
Fun, yeah.
Crazy the next 2 weeks.
I'm taking it relatively quiet this Christmas. I went out for Christmas to Denver last year and stayed there through New Year's. So I was gallivanting all around the state last year. So last year was my crazy Christmas. This Christmas, I'm just staying here in Florida. Things happened kind of crazy for the past week because I think I said in the Thursday podcast, I had finals on Tuesday, and then I had like a day of prepping for graduation on Wednesday. I had graduation on Thursday, then I went to register for stuff at USF on Friday, and then I had the podcast tonight. So
Are you starting there next week, or not next week, next semester, or are you going to wait until the fall?
No, I'm starting there. I'm starting there on January 8th. So Tuesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm taking one class on Tuesdays and then one class online. So
I'm officially starting my master's program next fall.
So you're gonna be back in school again too. So
I'll only be taking like maybe 1 or 2 master's courses. Here's the way it's gonna work. I for next year, I'm going to be having pretty much the same job as I have this year, but I'll be getting benefits. Like if after I turn 26, I'll have health insurance and full-time pay, like better pay. And then I also get discount, like a huge discount at tuition. And so I'm going to be taking some master level courses next fall, just to say, hey, Belisario College of Communications, I really want to take your master's courses. Can I do it without taking the GRE? And so then I'll hopefully go get my master's.
Wait, so. Belisario, as in the guy the guy who made NCIS. That, oh my god,
his family. He donated like $60 million to the College of Comm. Literally the semester that I was graduating.
Oh, okay, so, yeah, that explains it.
So Penn State's College of Communications is now called the Donald P. Belisario College of Communications because of how much money he's donated. So I was actually one of the first graduates of the Belisario College of Communications.
Wow.
Right?
So are you even an NCIS fan though? That's
actually I'm not. And the first time that I heard his name, I was like, "Who is he?" And my mom was like, "NCIS, of course." Like I have no idea.
I like the original NCIS. My grandmother watches it all the time. She kind of has a crush on Mark Harmon, I guess, but anyway, yeah, that's interesting. So, that's good that you're having a good holiday. And look, dude, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate
it. It was absolutely a pleasure.
It's been a blast catching up. Sorry, my one quote unquote fan left. But hey, that's his gig, not yours and not mine. So,
next time I'm on, either have me or Eric for the queer caucus, or have me and what the hell was his name, Brian. Have me and Brian, and we'll have a friendly conversation, not a debate. We'll have a conversation.
Right. Well, yeah, we'll have a friendly conversation. In the meantime, though, we got 9 likes and we got 10 likes and one foul ball. So not bad. So
not bad at all.
So anyway, folks, thank you for tuning into the podcast. Thank you for actually tuning into the last live show. You didn't know this, but this is the last live show of 2018. So,
I'm
gonna be doing one last Thursday show this coming Thursday, and then I'm gonna take a little hiatus as I always do for December. So, Jeff, you are my last guest, as it were, for 2018, and I can't think of any better way to kind of end the year. So, thanks for coming back on after all these years, and who knows? We're definitely gonna have to do this more regularly in 2019. So
for sure. And next time I'll have my microphone, so I actually sound somewhat professional.
Yeah. Although, how do you think my audio sounded this?
Your audio sounds perfect for me.
I still have the Yeti. The interesting thing is, people always complain about the Yeti, but they don't know how it really works. I finally figured out that you need to turn the gain knob all the way down so that it doesn't pick up the ambiance.
Right.
I do need to get one of those. I need to get it off the mic stand though, because
you should get one of those mic stands that like comes from the side and you can move closer and further. That's kind of what I have.
Yeah, I
highly recommend.
I need to get a boom arm. So, of course, if you have if Penn State has any spare boom arms that they're not using anymore,
I'll shoot them your way.
You can always make a donation to the to the Sam Whitfield Broadcast Institute. So, for educational purposes,
only educational purposes.
So, but anyway, all right, man. Well, thanks for coming on. Obviously, we'll sign off after the broadcast ends. But anyway, anything that I should plug for you before we sign off here?
YouTube.com/SOC119, Social19, and Twitter.com/TheJHP. That's it.
So you're. Oh, that is one thing I want to ask you. What's with your rotating name change?
Oh, it's because my current one is my name, Jeffrey Hamill, and then it's comma PhD of propaganda. And the reason it's called the Doctor of Propaganda is simply for two reasons. Number one, the organization I work for, I am one of the 4 members of the media ministry, which I name the Ministry of Propaganda, because propaganda is anything that's media related, really.
Yeah.
And then I got an email from a student who said that they could no longer take my class in the spring. And I said, no big deal, man. Like, he had another opportunity to be a professor's assistant for another class. I said, take that opportunity. It's right down your alley. Like, do go for it. And he emailed me back and he said, thanks and congratulations on your recent PhD. And I was like, okay. So I changed my name to PhD of propaganda because I don't have my PhD. Hopefully one day I will. And then you'll have to address me as Dr. Hamill. Just know that.
That'll be even better, folks. We have Dr. Hamill coming on the program. So.
What are you, a doctor of bullshit?
Hey, well, come on. Hey, well, Alex Jones has a whole bunch of bullshit doctors on his show all the time. So,
and this is a good place for us to do an ad read. Let me do it for you. This episode of the Whitfield Report has been brought to you by Bone Broth.
It's also been brought to you by Super Male Vitality Math.
Darnisha said in the chat, Dr. Sick Pig. My nickname is Sick Pig at work because my last name is Hamill, which is, if you take it backwards, it's Ham-ill or ill ham, so Sick Pig. So Dr. Sick Pig, broadcasting live from. How
many times per week do you get the dude? Are you related to Mark Hamill at all?
Per week? Probably none, but per month, probably a solid 1, maybe 2. Like, especially if I'm on like a phone call with somebody, like a company that's like not in Pennsylvania. If I'm on like a support phone call, they'd be like, "Yo, are you related to Mark Hamill?" No, not that I know of. I mean, probably. By the way, there was a girl who took Social 19 last semester. Her last name is Hamill, Maddie. I was going to give you a 0 for attendance because I never met you one time. Who the hell takes a class where their last name is shared with one of the teacher's assistants and you don't come up and say hello? Once.
Yeah, I know.
There's not many Hamills in the world. You gotta say hi.
There aren't many Whitfields in the world either. So
exactly.
But anyway, well, Jeff, it's been a fun almost 3 hours, dude. Damn, we did well.
It's been 3 hours and 12 minutes since we've been in this Skype call. So,
it's now fucking Sunday. So we started this on Saturday, and the podcast has gone into Sunday. So
we're officially over 3 hours. Jeez.
I understand what Joe Rogan means about this flying by, though, when he does these. So
yeah, for sure.
Apologies to the people listening to this on audio. Hopefully it's entertaining, and if you've made it this far, well then please consider supporting me on Patreon. Also at patreon.com/Whitfield. We don't have any rewards set up there yet, but we will in 2019. So.
And if you ever need any help with your show, let me know.
Well, now that you mention it, no, we'll talk. I'll talk to you after the show. So, alrighty. Well, Jeff, thank you for coming on once again. Thanks to all of you who tuned in live, either in the chat or, lurked in the background. I know I always have a couple of those, too. So, thank you for watching. God bless. God save this great nation. And I'll see you on Thursday for the audio edition.